Just like in the movies.
Welcome to SuperWonder Legacy. I am Jared, and this is the only show that has said for 100 episodes that Lois Lane sucks. I am here with Britt. What's up, Britt?
Hello. Oh my God.
And today we are celebrating 100 episodes of SuperWonder Legacy.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes.
We did it, Britt. We
Yes,
made it to
we
the
did.
big 1-0. We are in the triple digits now.
Yes. What an accomplishment.
Hell yeah. All right. So, and Cameron says happy 100. Thank you, brother. So,
Thank you.
it's been quite a journey. It's been quite a voyage.
Yes, it has
So,
been.
so Britt, do you want to tell the fine people at home how this crazy train started?
Okay, so oh my gosh. You want me to be emotional, don't you?
I do love my crying cats.
Oh my God.
Real quick, by the way, I do have to say, because it's episode 100, I do kind of have one thing to play. I don't know why it was on loop, but there you go. That's kind of technical difficulties, folks. But anyway, so Britt, go carry on.
All right, so this first started with a Discord message about special bonds. One of the fan fictions that I wrote years ago.
You could say I had a special bond with special bonds that
Oh,
led to us having a special bond.
that is so cute. Okay, so yeah, it was just us talking about the story at first and talking about DC and their unfairness for Super Wonder, and then with you asking, should I, come to your show for an interview? Talking about the fan fictions and loving the ship. Then you were like, well, you know what? How about we make well, once we were talking a little bit more about, the behind the scenes of DC, and I was giving you information, giving you receipts on certain things when you were being in a couple of debates. It was like, you know what? Let's make our own show. And it just kicked off from there. We had not talked like vocally until the very first episode.
That's the weird part, and that was the part that was kind of concerning to me because I was like, "Are we gonna have chemistry and stuff?" And then it's like we did. It was like instant.
It was like, well, you did send a voice message on Discord before, and it was like us, going back and forth. You couldn't type, so but I was still typing. But yeah, we had not actually had a conversation vocally just yet until then. And besides the technical difficulty of being a little low, it was still the fact that we were able to get through it, the first go, and it it was really fun, to get that all out about our love for Superman and Wonder Woman as a couple and individuals, and call out, DC's unfairness and put out the truth, of their unfairness. And now we are 100 episodes in of, and it's not just going on like these rants or just being about the ship, you know. We
That's the fun
have
part about it, but yes.
we have created our own, fan fiction universe within it of the ideas that we expected DC to have for Super Wonder, as a couple and as individuals, but to pretty much just celebrate their character. We've done it ourselves, and I'm very proud of that because it shows our love for these characters, and it pretty much debunks, any detractors saying, "Oh, if you're a Super Wonder fan, you don't care about them as individuals, or you don't understand them." Well, obviously, within 100 episodes, we clearly understand them, and not well. I would say yes, we do have that confidence too because of everything that we say, it ends up being right, and we
And trust me, it's both a blessing and a curse.
that, and we go by facts. And that's the thing, when you are a shipper, if you are a shipper, you have your head canons and you make things up in your head, you know. Um, and then you get mad at the company for not validating what's in your head. With us in Super Wonder, it's like, okay, we have the material right here.
And we have the sales to back it up.
Exactly. What we want, though, is for DC to actually be honest and not do the revisionist history that they've continued to do, and also distance Clark and Diana from each other. Like, you're missing a lot of storytelling with that pettiness.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, so the thing about it is that the show was a little bit of a gamble when I started it, because here's the thing. It's like, it's going into a more like not only hyper niche, but still it's like limiting the scope of the videos, and that could be good, that could be bad. It turned out good for us because there was no podcast on YouTube that I'm aware of that covers this particular topic the way we do. So, because that's one of the things they tell you when you start a YouTube channel, is that you have to figure out some way to like differentiate yourself. That's why also doing the Wonder Woman show has helped me, because it's like no one talks about Wonder Woman, no one talks about Super Wonder in this way. So I'm like, okay, there you go. And as far as we know, we are influencing people on Twitter to like, hey, consider it this way. Hey, what's up, Julian? And yes, very happy 100. But it's interesting going through like our past episodes and stuff, because it's like, I'll tell you right there, my favorite episodes, my top 5, if I have to name them, and then I'll ask you. Number 1, obviously, because, by the way, I just checked yesterday, episode 2 just crossed 1,000 views.
Really?
I was like,
wow.
That's the part that's really great, is that even if they're old episodes, people are still watching them. And that is really key with YouTube, if you have retention going back for that. So
exactly.
So episode 1, obviously Green Lantern. Honestly, I love the new 52 versus Rebirth stream. That one was fantastic. Plus, so fun the way I opened that one, saying we're definitely not going to talk about anything negative this episode. I like the multiverse episode because we dealt with all the stories that you and I have started. Oh God, and then for the 5th episode, I'm gonna have to go with. I really enjoyed the one of them being immigrants and like refugees, because you really sometimes don't really. That's a topic that's not really that much. That's a component of them that's both essential to who they are as characters, but it's not talked about enough as it should be. By the way, Cameron's Lewis is like, hey, what's up, brother? Thank you. You guys are definitely the first that has done Super Wonder content that doesn't debunk them, because people that debunk them are just doing it out of some blind loyalty to Clois, Wonderbat, or nostalgia. That's it.
Exactly.
Keep up the awesome work and hope for many more. Oh yeah, we're definitely doing more of these episodes.
Yes, we are.
Love what you guys are doing. Great. I really appreciate that. But it's like, and Britt hinted at a very important thing. I call this show Super Wonder because yes, we do talk about the relationship because it's very important to us. But there are episodes where we don't talk about Superman or Wonder Woman. It's like it's really an in-depth conversation about Superman and Wonder Woman as characters. And I need to say this. I need to give Britt her props, because this show is the reason why Wonder Woman became my favorite character. And I can pinpoint it to the exact moment. It's when, actually, it's going to be it's the episode where we talked about our favorite Super Wonder moments, because here's why. When we talked about the moment of in Wonder Woman, I think it was like 200 or 700, where Superman like becomes Doomsday and he fights Wonder Woman. It's the Phil Jimenez one that they did because of
175.
Yeah, it's that one where she like comforts Superman. That's where it finally hit me how important this character is, and it's from that moment where it started going down to she is my favorite episode, I mean, character of DC Comics ever. And that's why I have to credit Britt. She is the reason why Wonder Woman Wednesday and Amazon Answers exist.
Oh, here we go.
Yes, I got to say that because it's because of your contagious enthusiasm for the character, even though you may think that you've given up on them, that I became like such a deep appreciator for Wonder Woman. Barry Julian says, you guys worked really hard. I hope you all the best on YouTube. Thank you. And then Louis says, been also rewatching some of your guys' episode one is definitely my favorite, but my favorite is the Kingdom Come breakdown. Yeah, that one's fun. I love that. Kingdom Come is like one of those episodes, and Britt and I've said it. That's like, I think the birth of mainstream Super Wonder, I think.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also the story that's very misunderstood in terms it's like people think she's like Injustice Wonder Woman when she's not. Oh yeah, the anime episode. Oh, you mean the My Adventures with Superman blasting episode? Yeah, or the one where the anime the anime that's of Superman and Wonder Woman's daughter. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That one was great. That one was great. My NJ says DC does not deserve this awesome woman shameless company. Yeah, they don't. The minute you give Tom King control over that character, that you then do not deserve that character. I'm just gonna tell you that right there. But it's like all of this is because of this show. And it's also, the show is a major reason why the channel passed 1K when it did. Because again, Lad and I were doing the numbers and it would have like crossed it eventually, obviously. But we made it like 6 months early because of the boost that this show gave.
Yeah. Well, I would say that, of course, yeah, we are going to have some negative things to say. That's what it is, especially.
But it's out of love. That's the important part.
Exactly. But for the most part, we've tried to keep it positive. And I always tell you, Jared, that you have created this positive platform and a welcoming platform at that, so fans can feel like you're not alone with gravitating to something not non-traditional. So many people are basically, they want to be sheep, and follow the herd of, this is the way you have to think, this is what you have to accept as if you're going to be a fan of whatever. But no, we want to stand out. I mean, everyone has their own thought process, their own beliefs and everything. So what makes this any different? And in these characters and what they represent something that's supposed to stand out. So why can't the fandom stand out as well?
And by the way, Julene, so you asked if we'll ever do an episode about Blood of Zeus crossover with Wonder Woman. Funny you should mention that.
Yes.
It's episode 43. We literally did that.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Oh, and also it was shared by the Blood of Zeus Twitter. So, yay. But it's like, let me put it this way. I want another season of that show. But yeah, we did that. We definitely did that because it's like, we can't not do an episode we can't not do a show about Superman and Wonder Woman and not do Blood of Zeus. So we definitely did that. And that's one of my favorite because I got to talk about Greek mythology. But the part that I'll always be very happy about is that I finally got to explain to Britt that Hal Jordan is not the playboy that the animation portrays him as.
Yes. Yeah, that is. So of course mine is episode 1. With that starting. Blood of Zeus is fun because that is honestly, in my head, that is a Wonder Woman prequel. Like,
that's the way I kind of consider it, except for the whole Amazonians not marrying people. I'm like, exactly, no. That's the one creative decision in that show where I'm like, I don't like that.
Right. And then Hal and Carol, because I've to understand the character, and I would say that I was one, and a little bit, that would judge a character, only by their cartoon iteration or, or the fandom, and you had to really, you have to read the character for yourself, or actually talk to someone that's more trustworthy to that actually understands the character. And again, and that's why this show is based on facts. It's not based on headcanons. So once you explain to me and I'm able to actually see, how read some of the stories and everything for myself, yeah, very much a Hal Jordan fan. And so that is kind of why it peeves me that his second, live action is of an old man, you know?
What? Oh yeah, exactly. Watch the Green Lantern animated series. Is firmly established that he loves Carol Ferris. Is firmly established. And by the way, Cameron is up a good point because he was introduced to Hal and Carol through Justice League Doom, and they make it seem like Hal cheated on Carol, and that's why she became Star Sapphire. And I go, that's never been a thing.
Yeah, the DC animated changes, you know what? Dean, there's an idea. Um that is something that they want the change for dramatics, but at some point the changes actually hurt the story that they're trying to adapt,
Oh, you mean
and
like
it just
Flashpoint?
flash well, yeah. um Flashpoint, New Frontier. um
Well, New Frontier was relatively minor, so I don't necessarily hold that against New Frontier because it wasn't like as drastic as Flashpoint was.
true.
Because here's the thing, Flashpoint, with Flashpoint Wonder Woman, they didn't even get it remotely right. More on that next week. By the way, people, next week is we're going to talk about why the Flashpoint movie assassinated Wonder Woman. And by the way, Louise says Green Lantern anime series is peak, of course, but by the way, they now like more characters that were introduced in that show, by the way, Britt, are now canon thanks to Jeremy Adams. Hey,
Hmm.
thanks, Max. It's Max Priestley. What's up, brother? By another supporter of Super Wonder. The first episode I had him on, he was my second podcast guest, by the way, ever. I asked him Super Wonder versus Wonder Bat, and he goes Super Wonder. And I showed him the comic. He goes, he's a big fan of that comic. By the way, Max, we got to have you on the show, brother. But a lot of misconception about Wonder Woman. Yeah, I know. I'm like, okay, guys, it's like, see, now here's the thing, because I recently rewatched the Flashpoint Wonder Woman movie, and I was like, okay, wait a minute here. Here's the thing, Britt, and I said this on the Amazon podcast. So I got the omnibus, not expecting this. This was an unintended consequence. I'm reading through it because I wanted to read the Wonder Woman parts and see what this was. I'm reading it, and literally I put it down and I go, this is nothing like the movie. She never sleeps with Arthur, nor does she kill Billy. At that point, I was like, what did you do?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is that, yeah, you can take creative liberties at some point, but when you are purposely character assassinating, it's like, did you not think this through?
I know. I'm like, I get it. If you didn't want to show that much backstory, well, for one thing, here's how you could have done that. Because they showed backstory in the animation showing Aquaman and Wonder Woman banging. What you could have done is truncated the basic plot and then just go with that. That's what you have to do. It's not that hard. It's like here's it's to the level where Wonder Woman finds out in the comics that the Amazons have started like prison camps for the men, and she shuts them down saying, I want no part of this. This is not what this is about. She begs Arthur many times, we're destroying the world, you gotta stop. As soon as I saw those lines, Britt, I was like, I will never look at that animated movie the same, because that used to be my favorite animated movie, Britt.
Really?
As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, this sucks.
Right. And they're so wishy-washy about what they changed to.
I know.
Like, and it's mostly with Diana, that they feel like that they can twist her character and they don't have any type of respect for her. She's always the punching bag. She's always the aggressor.
And Battle Goon brings up a good point. He says, I sadly think if Wonder Woman was Wonder Man, the DCAU would have treated him better. Yeah, honestly, I think so too. It's like the DCAU and lots of DC animated projects seem only to focus on Wonder Woman being a woman. I will say, Wonder Woman 2009, while not perfect, aged better in my opinion. There's still some stuff about it to not like, but good Lord, that movie has some of the best soundtracks I've ever seen in an animated movie. Ever. Like, it sounds just like a Greek mythology movie. And I go, that is what you want. And Wonder Woman's a badass in that. The Steve Trevor parts, until you realize it's written by someone that wrote Tom Tresser as a misogynist. And I go, okay, I see exactly what's going on. I see exactly what's going on. Cameron also says, I'd say another big conception from Justice League Comics, i.e. the Infinite Crisis one, when she snaps Maxwell X and says, and tells Clark, I put my enemies in the ground. That's not even what she said in the comic, but I know what you're talking about. You mean in like, in Justice League New 52, which even with that, she later clarifies that she doesn't like straight up kill them. So I'm like, Jeff, what are you doing, bro? But if I can ask, wasn't Flashpoint comic Wonder Woman, Aquaman comic slow burn? No. They never were. Wonder Woman was never evil. Aquaman was. But Wonder Woman, no, it was never a slow burn. And Flashpoint Beyond doesn't count because afterwards, Britt, they retroactively made her evil.
So, well, it felt like John's probably had a
Jeff
vendetta
Johns.
against her.
Jeff Johns has never written Wonder Woman. Wow. I'm just going to tell you that right there. And this is coming from someone that loves Jeff Johns' writing, like as a Green Lantern fan. He's like the Peter J. Tomasi in this case. He cannot write Wonder Woman. And yeah, exactly. And by Dragon says, just want to say congrats, you guys seeing 100 episodes. Thank you. Did you guys watch the Tomorrowverse? Yes, we did. We also did an episode on the Tomorrowverse, the best animated Wonder Woman ever. Like, yes. I don't think, at least for me, I don't have any complaints about Tomorrowverse Wonder Woman beyond her being immortal or like old as dirt, in other words.
Right. There's honestly, because she was handled by someone who actually was a fan of hers. And that is why Jim Craig, he deserved more, you know. He deserved more credit, and he also just deserved more to finish out the Tomorrowverse as he, saw fit than rushing it because of the whole regime changes. But yeah, that was and you had Justice League Action, which again, Jim Craig was the producer of. But James Tucker, who was the producer of Batman, Brave and the Bold, I think Young Justice, like the earlier seasons, and also DCAMU. Yeah, you can definitely tell how he was not a fan of Wonder Woman in the sense of her modern or Perez version. He was definitely thinking of having her old as dirt, in
Let me put it this way. Any complaints we have about Tomorrowverse, it's leagues better than DCAMU Wonder Woman what became.
Right. I mean, just that whole thing, and to purposely to have that sort of arrogance and confidence of, yeah, we did this, we did that, for nostalgia, and thinking that that's going to get the fans to care. And then all of a sudden, the verse is abruptly ending, and you get salty, of course. And also Wonder Woman Bloodlines end up flopping. And again, you salty.
Rightly so. By the way, Balagoon says, not to sound sexy, but Wonder Woman 2009 was written by Gail Simone, a woman, which I think weirdly... Well, here's the thing, Balagoon, what that does is... So Britt and I encounter, like, some people in the Wonder Woman fandom saying that only women should write Wonder Woman, and I go, bro, that and her editor is a woman. So what do you say to that?
Right, that is not sexist at all. I want to make that clear. First, I'm a woman, so it's like,
really, I never noticed.
Well, because unfortunately, Jared, we have some people who think that the Super Wonder fans are only men.
Oh,
so it's like you have to make it clear that
the level of BS in this fandom just keeps increasing, Britt.
Right. So you have to just really just put it out there a little bit more, and so that's why I always say that it doesn't matter the gender of the writer, because either way there's going to be someone who disrespects Wonder Woman. And yeah, exactly. Gail Simone is the prime example of that. Being a woman, and yet she writes Diana very in a problematic way. You know, and also introducing Tom Treasure and the storyline of Diana and Hippolyta, baby obsessed and everything like that. You would expect a man to write something like that because it really reads like a male fantasy.
Well, not only
So
that, Britt, these people that say that only women should write Diana are forgetting the fact that two of her runs that people like were written by dudes,
exactly.
George Perez and Rucka.
Right.
I'm talking about the first Rucka run, not the Rebirth garbage. I'm talking
Well,
about
you
the
know,
first one.
Rucka did
Or
and
James Tinney on Justice League Dark.
that, yes. Rucka did say he called himself a spiritual um,
Spiritual lesbian, I
lesbian.
know. Which it explains why anytime he writes a book, he has to shoehorn in a lesbian character, like in the Lois Lane book. But
Right.
still, real quick, Dave says, "Congrats on 100. We're #1 Wonder Woman content creators on YouTube, and it's not even close." And Britt's also on Instagram, so there you go. But Jeff Johns is a great writer of men, in my opinion. He writes some good women, like Stargirl, but it's because he has emotional connection to Stargirl, so there is
Right.
that. But it's like, yeah, but the Blackest Night thing of having Mara gets the Red Lantern because she's angry because, like, she had a kid, but Arthur was dead or something like that. I'm like, no. And yeah, it's like DC has a disproportionate amount. Yeah, exactly. A disproportionate amount of the male writers hate Wonder Woman, which is why DC hire us. We'll write Wonder Woman well. We'll make her a top 10 book guaranteed by Tom
Exactly.
Tresser. At least, see, here's my theory about Tom Tresser. I think that they wanted to put Diana back with Steve Trevor, but couldn't because Steve was married to Etta at the time. So they decided, let's just take the other generic blonde white guy that's also in the military and just act like that's Steve. And because that wasn't just a Gail Simone thing that happened before that. It was just it's like Britt. There was a scene before that where like he goes, Agent Prince digs me, and I go, and I go, just jump on a grenade, brother. But I like the Wonder Woman movie, but did not like how Cheetah was handling that. You mean Wonder Woman 1984? Let's be clear on that. This is Wonder Woman 1984. Wonder Woman 1 2017, short of the Steve Trevor stuff, was great. Anyway, Louis
Yeah.
says, I mean, that's always the defense and attack of another fandom they don't like. Nah, you were just men. You're just misogynistic nonsense. I know. It's like,
Yes.
but it's like, it's not like I dedicate half my channel to respecting Wonder Woman. Huh?
Exactly.
It's not like I do that either. I remember Gail Simone's The Circle. I like the idea of Amazons hating the idea of birth on the island, but the Amazons all wanted babies. Was weird. Yeah. But it's like so much of that run when you re-examine it is like, what? Right. Dave says, one thing I didn't like about the Tomorrowverse is how they handled Hal Jordan in Emerald Twilight. Yeah. I've told you about this, right, Britt, where they basically made Hal Jordan a bad guy and then killed him off so Jon Stewart could be the main Green Lantern. And I go, oh, come
Right.
on, guys.
Yeah, I at that moment, and especially when they're trying to push, Jon Stewart, and you have you either Hal's going to be evil or he's going to be an old man, and so we got evil Hal in Tomorrowverse, and now we got old man in DCU, and it's kind of like, okay, why can't he be young? Why is it that
Exactly.
not even the fact that if Hal is supposed to be like an old man or whatever,
Because they're going to retire him and not use him again so they can feature John. Why do you
okay,
think John is cast as the younger guy?
yeah, and my thing is, if you're going to do that, you might as well cast an older Carol and let him have his
As far as I
retirement with
know,
her.
there is no Carol Ferris in the show. They're doing a completely original love interest because guess what? It's Tom King's
Tom
version of Green
King,
Lanterns, baby.
yes,
You have no idea how big of a red flag. The showrunner, when he said that, has no idea how big of a red flag that is. By the way, NJ says, did you guys like Siegfried and the Clunan run? I needed to see
no,
it develop more in order for me to have an opinion, but so far, no.
no, because he was specifically created to be a thirst trap, and it
No
was
wonder
like
he was shirtless all the time.
yes, and Travis Moore's art, he didn't have anything beyond that. So it was like Diana is not the type of character to have that, and I can't stand when creators or fans go their justification is, well, Marston was into,
Yeah,
BDSM
and
and
I
all
go,
of
and
that type of
DC told him to stop it.
right.
And by
So
the way, Oregon, I gotta say this one thing. He goes, "Hey, one thing for Steve Trevor is that he could not be treated any worse or used any worse than Wonder Woman 1984. Read the Tom King run and get back to me, brother. That's all. That's all I'm gonna say. I am calling this now. I hope I'm wrong. Long-term Guns DC film universe fails, and Tom King is a huge part of that. Oh, if it fails, I'm sure King will be a part of that.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
right. What's up to Chris? Anyway, so Britt, what do you want to say?
oh, I mean, Gunn has basically boasted saying that, oh, I got ideas from King,
Mhm.
even with Superman with the new movie. It's like um how did he have the disguise with the glasses? And it's like, oh, it's hypno glasses. And it's like, okay, you know what? That was only from like one issue, very random. It it didn't work. It's just a pair of glasses. He, changed his mannerisms.
Because
He his
I always thought that it wasn't necessarily hypno glasses, but the glasses were made of Kryptonian technology that when you're looking at him, it subtly alters his face.
something like that, but even still, it doesn't make sense for the fact of, well, it's kind of a spoiler. So it doesn't make sense logically of certain parts of the movie in a sense, and the interactions, I would say. It just,
Exactly.
you know, it's just
But
some things that's kind of, all right, maybe if this is going to be just dumb fun or whatever, just let it be dumb fun. Don't try to put logic and you
uh,
basically undercut that logic.
and real quick, hey NJ, did you know that? So I know that the Marston movie made it seem like all three of them were in a menage a trois. Guess what? As far as the family of Marston knows, is sure that didn't happen. So anyone telling you they were in a throuple relationship is lying. That's not true.
Yeah, they definitely wanted to do something like that, and it's still like that's not Diana. Like, don't do
Exactly.
that because first of all, as much as we did, have respect for Clean Rat's run, that was the one thing that was like you're trying to do too much, and Diana's book is already struggling. It If you thought that that was going to boost her sales, no, it unfortunately was not. It's just going to validate the people who sexualize her. You know,
Exactly. So, are you ready for our tier list, Britt?
yes, I am.
So here's what I did. I made a tier list of Super Wonder moments, and some of these are going to be very like deep pulls. It's all comics that you and I have talked about on some of our episodes.
Hmm.
Now, here's what I did. So I instead of giving like S tier, A tier, B tier, I wanted to give them fun titles. So let's see what titles I came up with. So I have God tier, Super
Hmm.
Wonderful, Meh, Tomasi and Jurgens, and Sugar Honey Iced Tea.
Oh my God.
So what we're gonna do is on the bottom here I have most of the books that feature Superman and Wonder Woman or deal with their relationship in some way, and we'll rate them. So
Hmm.
let's get started. So first up, Dark Knight 2. Oh boy,
Wow.
because I get what Miller was going for with this, but it's
We got to put that in the map because the
I
reason
agree.
why is because it was it okay. Diana's like confident booster speech or whatever, and her
But she punched him, and I go,
yeah, that and then your over exaggerated stress reliever. It was kind of like Okay,
They cause a tsunami that kills people. I go, no, that's why you have the whole people going, oh, if they have sex, they can cause earthquakes. And I go,
okay, did they just cause the earthquake or did people die? Did it say that they died?
I don't think people. I know it's apparently they showed an aircraft carrier being like jostled out. I'm not sure if the aircraft carrier kind of flipped over, but I thought it formed a tsunami or something like that. And I'm like, Anyway, here's one I know you're gonna put very high, Britt. Immortal Wonder Woman.
Exactly. That is total God tier. Total.
Yeah. It's got, because here's the thing. That's using the immortality right, because it's not making Wonder Woman. Because here's let me clarify when I say Britt, I hate the immortality. We hate when Diana's old, like centuries before she meets everyone in the Justice League. That's the bad part.
When she's the same age as Jesus, you're doing too much.
Yeah, exactly. But with this, I like this because because first off, it kind of deals with, it hints that Superman and Wonder Woman like each other. So that's the first part. Superman's there. He's got a nice little beard. I want Superman to have a beard, not just because I have a beard, but because I think it looks good. But it's like, Superman goes down sacrificing himself to save the world, but Wonder Woman sacrifices herself to reboot the universe. Oh, and Jose says, should be named God tier, the Olympian tier. Actually, you know what? Shall I rename this Olympian tier?
I love that. Yes.
I like that too. Yes, Louise. Thank you. See, this is why I love having viewers. They come up with such great ideas. But anyway, so what do you think of Immortal Wonder Woman, Britt?
Okay, so first, exactly what you said is basically don't have Diana old as dirt in the same age as Jesus. No, we don't need that because her development is that she is of the modern age. She is supposed to guide this age. It's especially when you're into the whole diversity and the culture and how the free spirit that she is and everything. You have to care about her supporting cast. And she also, I love the idea that Diana is literally born of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then once she sees how the modern age evolution of Earth, and then she rebirths it. That is why
so you could say she becomes Mother Earth.
Exactly. I mean, she is literally Mother Earth, given that she was born of Earth, but that just has a whole full circle for that, and especially, with her recreating Earth. And it's like, this is the kind of stories that we need more of,
Exactly. So then we have Batman, Superman, Supergirl. The first, basically the comic that the movie Apocalypse is based off of.
Okay, so
I kind of see the part I don't like about this is the antagonism between the two, but I do like them arguing over Kara like a married couple.
Exactly. They was very much a argumentative married couple, but it's not enough to really just, oh my God, this is like super.
Although Diana fighting against the female Furies was dope.
Exactly. So you have,
I'd say Olympian.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not horrible. Like this way, that's more respectful to Diana, because even if they like argue, it's like, remember, she still like volunteers to go with Clark. It's like when Clark goes, I have to go to Apocalypse, and then Diana says, you mean we have to go to Apocalypse? I'm like, I like that. That's right. Cool.
But so, again, with the animation, how that scene where Diana hugs him after he blasts the Doomsday copies, how the animation just changes it to her putting her hand on his shoulder, and it just felt like
they changed that, but I'm like, why did you change? Battle Lagoon? No, they weren't a couple, but really, what this is, these are books that either dealt with their relationship even as friends, or like that, like dope stories of them together. It's not necessarily all of them couples. Some of them will be. So Britt.
Exactly, and that's another thing of why we love this pairing, is because we celebrate their friendship as well because it's something that's it it goes beyond romance. Like we could give or take the romance, honestly. It's just something about their partnership,
As long as you
and
respect the friendship, that's the key part there.
exactly. When you have that, it's kind of like their relationship is something that doesn't have to be explained because you actually see it so naturally and organically, where it's kind of like, wait, are they together? And then you can be like, oh, no, they're not. But honestly, you can say that they're kind of like work spouses. They have that
Exactly.
type of relationship where they don't have to be in a romantic relationship that's so just out there, or like traditional relationships where you have to move mountains to, force it to make it work or something like that, or make it the default. It's just
Exactly.
something that's so much more natural to me and much more respectful and so much more meaningful.
Exactly. So, Britt, next one. Heroes were born from Marvel when they turned the Marvel universe into the DC universe. So, and we covered this when we covered Hyperion and Zarda. I'm
Hmm.
going to put this for the meme quality. I kind of want to put this in God tier, but I'm like, I mean,
It's
there are some good portrayals of them in there.
I would say go ahead and put it in God tier.
Yay. Because it was fun. And yes, there are some stories where she is like super aggressive, but there are some where she's more like Wonder Woman. So I go, okay, I could take that. Plus, I like the twist on the American. Wait, can Power Princess power her way to God tier? Oh yeah, exactly. But I like the so what they did with Hyperion in this. What I really liked, they played off the Truth Just American Way, where he's an American history teacher. So I kind of like that play off that.
Right.
So then we have JLA Power and Glory.
That I would say Olympian.
Yeah. Because now I like Superman pulling the fortress. But
Yes.
he's flying out. He's like, what are you trying to fly away? It's like, no, I'm not trying to fly away. I also like Diana reviving Superman by hitting him with Zeus's lightning bolt.
Yes. Yes.
That was great. And I like the idea of Clark being excited to share his pantheon with Diana because he probably say, Hera, help us every now and then. But see, it's not like perfect. That's the thing. It's like there's some parts in this where I'm like, ugh.
Right. Right. And yeah, Clark is so excited to, you know of his own culture, know of his own pantheon. And he's more open with Diana to share that because she has been open to share her culture and her pantheon. And it's just that relationship that is so much more balanced than what we see with the traditional relationships of so many secrets or choosing one identity over the other, where this one celebrates it all.
Exactly. And by Battlegoon, there are a few stories in this that cover it. I will tell you guys that. And by Cameron, it's a dope story in general. So yes, I do recommend doing that. When in doubt, in terms of reviving him, hit them with Zeus's lightning bolt. Yeah, that's kind of true. So next one we have All Star Batman and Robin.
Oh my God.
Oh
This is
God,
definitely a meh.
out of the way, sperm bank.
This is definitely meh. I wouldn't even say, okay.
You make me sick. Come here. Mm.
No, that is honestly it's funny. It's honestly funny
It's like
because,
when Batman has sex with Black Canary near burning corpses and goes, "We keep our masks on. It's better this way."
yeah, that is so over the top. And the thing is, what's so funny is how people take those stories so serious when you can tell it's very much satire. It's like
Battlegoon, we need a new tier for All Star Batman and Robin, Doctor Psycho tier. Yeah,
that is
exactly.
perfect. That
That's
is
perfect. But
perfect.
trust me, there's not enough. But yeah, it's crazy. Now, the Master Race.
You
I
know what? I
I
would put that in Olympian
I was about to say
because
Olympian because yeah, go ahead.
because it did respect Diana. You do have that moment where she is fighting, with Jonathan on her back and stuff like that.
And Jonathan's like smile as his mom is like
Smiling.
slaughtering Krypton. He's like, wee!
You see, now that is a baby that actually makes sense
That
instead
does
of
look like a Chucky baby.
instead of the Chucky Cabbage Patch baby that is known as Trinity Lizzie, whatever her name is. You know, so and the fact of also Laura, I she's very much in her teenage phase. She can be unlikable at certain points, but then at the end, she was like the ultimate hero. So I would say, yeah, this is definitely um, on the Olympian side.
Exactly. New Frontier.
I would say God tier
God tier. Yeah, thank you.
because Diana was the voice of reason and the moral compass, and also and pretty much the voice of the entire story.
She encouraged Superman to be a leader, and I love where when we first see her on Themyscira, she's reading, and all the Amazons are encouraging her to come swim, and she goes, "Maybe if you spent so much time reading, you would actually win a battle." It's like how sassy she is.
Yes, sassy Diana. We need more sassy Diana.
Okay. All right, Britt. Superman Wonder Woman Volume 3, actually 4, the Truth Arc with Tomasi.
You can set that
Sugar
on
Honey Iced
fire.
Tea or Tomasi? Which one do I put this in?
That is definitely Sugar Honey Iced Tea. And I mean, honestly, both of them are the same to me, but Sugar Honey Iced Tea is like the bottom of it. You can set it on fire, honestly, for me, because
that's the burning Sugar Honey Iced Tea stuff.
yes, that is the expired tea bag, basically.
Expired tea bag. Again, I just love all your little phrases. All right, Original Squadron Supreme.
Let's see.
I kind of want to put this in God tier as well.
You know what? Go ahead, because Marvel, I would say that
Marvel's more respectful to Wonder Woman than DC is.
yes.
Isn't that funny?
Just for that alone, it's like anything that respects Diana, it has to be in God tier. Like
pretty much. All right. Rebirth Trinity Volume 1. Now here's before you say crap, I'm going to say this. Remember, this is the thing that's kind of treated it a little respectfully when Wonder Woman goes, he's not the same man I once loved.
But you still had a part where she's talking about, oh, I didn't think we were rivals, we are sisters, and using her as a mouthpiece. And you
Good
also
point,
have
Tomasi Jurgens.
Yeah. Yeah, and you also have the part where she's like looking sad at
them holding
that
hands
Clark
and stuff.
holding hands. So yeah, that's definitely that will never get any type of leeway from me.
Throne of Atlantis. God tier.
God tier, yeah.
Yeah, because it's so badass. It's like when the aircraft carrier is coming down through the water. It's like you all of a sudden you see whoosh, and then they're like holding it, and then I just love how powerful they look. And them going on a date, and they go, "Hey Clark, this actually works." And then they have that conversation about it's not necessarily like hiding amongst them. It's just being one of them. It kind of extrapolated on that in the animated movie, and I really feel like they did a good job. At least this is the part that annoys me, Britt. Jeff wrote her well here.
Yeah, it's definitely the contrived drama that they try to force in that really messes up the writing. And that's even Mark Wade's problem too. Is first of all, he questions himself because of detractors, you know, harassing him. So he writes Diana well at certain points, and then it feels like he purposely writes her in just a terrible manner, but also ignore her at the same time because of the detractors.
Exactly. Speaking of writing in a terrible manner, Immortal Beloved.
That is definitely sugar honey iced tea.
I was about to say, yeah, there's no way that's going up there. Oh my gosh. So quick question: is Aquaman's trying to relate to any Poseidon stuff? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that's trying to strictly with like Atlantis, at least as far as I know. Yeah, Immortal Beloved. What a bait and switch BS story trying to show. Oh, it's always going to be Lois, even if she's thousands of years dead. I go, what?
Yeah, you're doing too much. And like I said, when you have to do something like that for a relationship, the relationship is faulty and it's very much a block of Swiss cheese.
Speaking of block of Swiss cheese, Superman Reborn. I'm just going to put that straight in sugar honey iced tea.
Exactly. No
I didn't even
explanation
care
is
what's in the story. When Jurgen said the purpose of this is to retcon out SuperWonder, I go, okay, that's going in the crop category.
exactly.
This Justice League Volume 2, the one where we get Justice League 12. God tier.
You got here. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, that is the best, like the best summary of Superman and Wonder Woman's relationship and the way they relate to each other just in those like 4 or 5 pages.
Right.
Like that's it. Okay. Tomasi Superman and Wonder Woman Volume 3, the one with Gog.
You know, okay, so I have my issues, but it's not as bad. Like
Yeah,
it's bad when he rewrote their first meeting and also tried to force the whole God of War thing. Like it was a lot of revisionist history
but
there.
wait, the God of War revisions history was not in this volume.
I thought it was when she
That came in a future volume.
really it wasn't I think it was by when they saved the
Because remember, in that volume, they talk about Clark losing his powers because of the solar flare. That hadn't happened yet.
okay, so I'm thinking of an image. She was still in the original costume and her eyes was red. Like
I
and
don't know.
it was Mankey who drew it. Hold on, let me see. Hold on. That's issue 13 through 17, right?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't think that I'll get the volume out as a matter of fact, because I don't think it included that. Hang on. No, it didn't.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
one where Cersei like mind controls Superman and Wonder Woman breaks it by wrapping a lasso around himself,
Oh, okay.
around Superman.
Okay, hold on.
So
So,
it's like
it's
it's
definitely in the meh
yeah. I was
because
about to say Mez good. Yeah, I would say so.
I'm going through it and yeah, it's especially okay. So you had the part where you have Wonder Star, which
Mhm.
that was a Wonder Star was good to be something. You know, he could have been their protege, should have been like um
Or their
even if
future
he was
son.
yeah, or something like that. And that's pretty much what it felt like, what it was leading to. And then I remember an interview that Tomasi had. He said, "Well, I'm gonna pop this bubble, you know, right now that no, he's not their son." And that's when people basically did not care for the story. So it's like, why is it that the promotion of it, you basically, you know, even if it's false advertisement or whatever, and the promotion was for him to be mysteriously you know thought of presumed to be their son. Why didn't you let that ride? You know, yeah, the reveal was disappointing, of course, but still, for the hype itself, for this character, the speculation, you know, and anything like that, why didn't you let that ride? And it really did just feel like Tomasi was trying to ruin the book, you know, as soon as he um
As soon as he could. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Justice League Volume 1, the first meeting.
I would say God tier because it is the start of the modern Justice League. And yes, that is their first meeting, but also you get a Superman that's more confident, that golden age, modern golden age. Diana, I mean, her part with the ice cream is cute, a little exaggerated, but just that freshness and this like imperfect team, but you know that they have like this good hearted, and they were still the characters that you knew. They were just younger.
Exactly. Yeah, and I like the whole "you're strong." I know it's also why I put it in the intro for this.
Right.
You're strong. I know part was cool. Yeah, I know. I love that engine. I like how confident she is. And Tomasi had to ruin it. Actually,
Right.
you know what? I want to move this down just because he ruined that. Can I move this down?
Yeah, sure.
I'm moving it to Tomasi and Jurgens. It lost a spot because it ruined that perfect meeting.
That's true.
So, all right. The comic tie-in for DC Universe Online. I added this because remember that deleted bit of dialogue where Lex says, "I always thought they would get together." And remember, it's her screams that had Superman rush in and beat the crap out of Black Adam and Luthor.
Right, right. I would say that is Olympian.
Yeah, I love it. Plus, it proves that but I didn't have Injustice on this, but we'll put in Sugar Honey Iced Tea anyway. So we'll just go
Exactly.
with that.
You know what? That even goes into its own category. That is its own category to
It's
where
just,
I don't.
it's below Sugar Honey Iced Tea. Just Injustice.
Yes.
But the reason why I have Legend so high is because that's the refutation of it. Because Lois dies, Superman broods a little bit because his wife just died, as anyone would, but he doesn't turn evil at all.
Yeah.
Oh, but speaking of him turning evil, Lois dying and him not turning good. Kingdom Come, God tier.
Of course.
Yeah. Again, gorgeous story, gorgeous written. The injustice of injustice existing. Yeah. Oh, ha ha ha! Chucky baby tier.
Yes. Yes.
That goes in there with Trinity, but yeah, Kingdom Come is its own thing. Hey, what's up, Luffy? Couldn't miss this. Love that you guys made it to 100 episodes. You come a long way. Love the show. I'm glad you guys exist. Oh, thank you,
Well,
Luffy.
thank
We're
you.
glad you exist, brother. And all right, so all right, Britt, Justice League Legacy.
That's definitely going into Mossy Jerk. No, 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 no. Wait a minute. Because you screwed it up with having Diana, assaulted, and then she unalived
Yeah,
herself. So that's
Sugar Honey
definitely
Iced
going to
Tea.
Sugar and Icy. I mean, you ruined and again, I don't trust Hitch, his whole thing where he says no, he wasn't supposed to be their son. Okay, so why do you have him connected to
Why is he wearing Superman stuff and Wonder Woman stuff when everyone else, the similarity is that they're wearing the crap of their parents?
exactly? And then to
And it's
say,
heavily
oh,
edited. So,
right. I mean, to say that he's adopted but you wrote Clark to like to make it seem like he was just this lost, sad puppy. He wasn't your best friend's son, So yeah, I that whole thing was a lie in itself, and the fact that you admitted to having to heavily edit it, that definitely was their son, but you don't want to admit it because of the whole rebirth thing.
all right. Trinity Volume 2. Here's why I know this is going to go in Sugar Honey Iced Tea. This is the one that when Superman's having that internal battle, New 52 Superman is unconcerned about civilian casualties, and his fighting to exist, is causing destruction around him, and he doesn't care.
You know what? Yeah, that mean-spirited um sugar honey I see.
Yeah, Mean
So
Spirit. Yeah. Don't forget, it also made Lois this super mom, if I recall. Correct me if I'm wrong. In Rebirth. Oh yeah, they kind of
yeah,
tried to do that. Yeah, exactly. I do kind of go with that. Sacrifice.
that is definitely going into Mossy Jurgens,
Mm-hmm.
because the reason why is because Diana was very logical with her concern and her
But
fight
Clark
and her
and
second.
Bruce were like, screw. Well, here's the thing. It did also lead to the establishment of the Shelterverse.
It did, but it's still going. Just Rucka alone, knowing his motivations for the story, I'm sorry, it's still staying in the Tomasi and Jurgen's tier.
All right, Superman Year One.
That is definitely going in the. Honestly, I would say Tomasi Jurgens because it was so weird.
Weird.
It was weird. Like you had.
You mean Superman fighting the Kraken for a mermaid? That's Poseidon's daughter, but Poseidon says you will take your mother's place in every way possible.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell was Frank thinking with this?
And
And
then,
it's like Superman goes from girl to girl to girl to girl with this, and then
yeah.
Wonder Woman loves him even though she literally just met him.
Okay, so let me. Okay, so it was supposed to be actually 4 issues, and the the last issue, and I think the ending of 3 was supposed to establish Clark and Diana's relationship a little bit more, and I, remind me to find and send you that interview, but Miller did, imply that they were going to show Clark and Diana having a stress reliever. So yeah, they were supposed to have a much better relationship shown.
Exactly.
But for some reason it was cut to 3 issues or so, and
Mm-hmm.
we just got him all of a sudden saying that she was his queen.
Yeah. Now, Dark Knight Returns, the Golden Child.
Okay, that is definitely Olympian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I can't not put it there because oh my gosh, is that like amazing? I love the image of John Kent just hovering there with his hands in his pockets, like he's standing up, but he's hovering, and the idea of like Laura having wearing a Superman T-shirt but a Wonder Woman jacket, like the character designs are so perfect, and then it's like. The NJ brings up a good point. Their kids bully Darkseid. I'm like, how
Exactly.
cool is that? Oh,
It's like,
Frank Miller did Wonder Woman's daughter better than Tom King.
right. I mean, to have your kids like these superpower kids, and not only that, but I think Jonathan is supposed to be like 3 years old.
A
So yeah,
3-year-old bullied Darkseid.
and the thing is, Raphael Grandpa, the artist, he he basically, I would say, um co-wrote or had a hand, in the story, and he wanted to give more respect to Laura, and make her at least mellow out just a little bit and give her a better like a better character understanding that she was a girl that was hidden away, because of the government. So she holds that resentment. It's like, why do I have to be this hero of for people who basically wanted to kill me when I was a baby? I had to go into hiding, and she just doesn't understand why they have to protect them. Um,
Yeah,
but at the same time, now that she's getting older, she wants to end up, being a hero and going through that journey. So that is really good character development. Yeah, she's arrogant and she's she knows that she's powerful, but at the same time, she still has that good heart in. And the fact that she has this 3-year-old brother who's so mellow and he's supposed to be like a baby Buddha and he understands her, that, you know, sibling love there is, you don't see that in comic books. So to have Clark and Diana's kids that way, so so many fans are stuck on normalcy. You have that with them.
exactly. Justice League Illegal 1.
Definitely God tier,
Wonder Woman bullies the Justice League.
basically.
That's kind of what it is. And then you have that nice kiss with Superman and Wonder Woman, but still, it's like this is Tower of Babel, but better.
Exactly.
It's way
And
better.
it also shows that Diana will be the one to sacrifice, so much for everyone that she loves. And you know, she will do anything, but also she's not trying to be conniving or secretive, or is not anything paranoia or something like Batman. It's her just trying to protect her people. And yeah, the ending where, first of all, that was
Wonder
very
Woman
dramatic.
battles a dragon. How can that not be cool?
Yeah, and I still don't understand, why haven't you animated this? Why haven't this been adapted?
I
It's
know.
like, hello, this is like the if you want a Wonder Woman story that is so easy to
And you can
adapt,
label it as a Justice League movie. There you go.
it's like, hello, So, but also the ending where Clark is like punching her and trying to get her to breathe, and
He's
it's
like,
kind of
wake
like,
up, wake up, wake up.
in that moment where she she calls him Clark, and then she calls him Cal, and he finally answers her, and she's like, "You would do the same thing for me." And he's trying to deny it, but then he's like, "Yeah, I would have done this. Everything that you've done, I would have done the same thing." So it's kind of like he couldn't blame her for what she did, but he just cares for her so much. So that little moment really, stands out. And also the end page where it looks like they're getting married. Like,
And there's Batman just smiling. I love it.
yeah.
So, all right. I have a volume from Steve Orlando's Wonder Woman run. Here's why. This is the volume where it's Superman and Wonder Woman dated in the past. They recanonized it.
Okay, so this I would
So
say
just to say F you, Dan Jurgens.
So this I would say, Matt, because it still did the revisionist whole thing of Clark and Diana broke up because Diana basically put, her being a hero first. And yeah, they would do that, but at the same time, that's not they didn't break up for that reason. And it's still the whole revisionist thing that I just can't take, with this pairing, because you break them off forcibly, whether it is in animation off screen or in the comics, where it's like, obviously this is a pairing that should work. It should be something that lasts so much longer, especially when they have that built up friendship, that trust, and they already act like a couple. So trying to force a breakup, it makes them antagonistic towards each other, and that emptiness. So with here, it's basically Diana giving up her relationship, again, to be a hero. And that wasn't established in Sewell's book. Is
At all.
basically, we can do this because we have the same goal. We want to protect the world. So this is why we're together. So yeah, it doesn't really make sense to me. So I would definitely put this in the man. Yeah, it did recanonize the relationship, but the breakup and everything like that, and it still goes back to, now you're trying to say that this Clark is the same Clark that Diana is with. No, I don't agree with
All
that.
right. Charles Sewell's first volume of Superman Wonder Woman.
That
It definitely goes in Sugar Honey Iced Tea, right? I'm only kidding. It goes up. I wonder. Actually, I'm gonna put this even in the front of God tier right there.
yes, yes.
Like I love the little the violent reaction you had when I said Sugar Honey Iced Tea.
I was gonna say, where Jericho?
I was replaced by Tom King.
Oh Lord.
Oh my gosh! Now we have to talk about why Steve Trevor is such a great character.
Oh my God. I think you will definitely be repulsed by your.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
You know what? If I have to do Whom Gods Destroy, you probably will have to do something like that for April Fool's Day.
I
You
already
would
did
definitely
it.
have to. No, what you talked about, Steve?
I did the first volume of Tom King's Wonder Woman. That counts.
Dang. Ah, you didn't do Trinity.
God damn it! No!
Yes.
Why do you hate me so? Why do you hate me so, lady? What did I ever do to you?
You made me send 1,000 cat gifs.
All right. Real quick. I'm going to unshare real quick because I'm adding 2 surprise books in here. I want it to be a surprise.
Oh
All
my
right. So hang
God.
on.
You trying to counter something?
Hang on. All right. So how do I add images? Because there are 2 things that I need to add in here. So select template cover, add additional images. So here we go. So I had to add these and I can't believe these were excluded. So hang on. All right, here we go. And submit. I hope it's not going to undo our progress. No, it won't. Okay, good. All right. Had to add these 2.
Okay.
It'll be revealed what those are in a second. But anyway, back to this. Justice League The Dark Side War.
You know what? This is also, I would say, Tomasi and Jurgens because.
Whoa. This is my favorite story, lady.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so maybe in the meh, because Diana did take the lead, but at the same time, you had Johns in his DCEU Wonder Woman being obsessed with Steve. You know, his like starting up with that.
All right, Tomasi Jurgens, you convinced me. All you have to do is say that.
He did because he was like, "Oh, how when Steve was talking about what are you and Superman, and she said we're just friends," and it's kind of like, what? Like,
Yeah, he was gonna propose to you, lady, but it's like,
yeah, and you wanted to like have a family with him. What are you talking about? You're just friends. It was just really weird, but
and when she goes,
also,
I have never forgotten about you, and I go, what?
yeah, because in Trinity War or Forever Evil, I mean, she said that she loves him as a friend and she's moved on. So what are you talking about?
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
that was definitely John's in his, like I said, in his DCEU mode of, and now we see, um, as he co-wrote Wonder Woman 84, that he wanted Diana to be obsessed with Steve.
Yep. Doomsday Clock. Now, hear me out on this. This made the new 52 its own Earth.
Still meh.
All right, I can go with math. I can go with math for
Because
that.
it made it its
It
own
was
Earth.
stupid that all of a sudden, like, the Amazons kidnapped Diana back to Themyscira. I go, what?
And you also get where Johns was doing this meta commentary about New 52 Superman. Like, he was an experiment for Manhattan, and because he didn't have the Kents or, things like that, it was still going into that he's not the real Superman if he doesn't have the Kents and all of that. I just, no,
I'll give you
no.
that. Okay. Smallville season 11, the volume that introduced Wonder Woman. Here's why I'm not going to put this high, because they established in the Smallville universe that Steve arrived at Themyscira as a kid and met Diana as a kid, so they literally grew up together.
You see, you're doing too much. You're doing too much
Plus,
traditional
it's
stuff.
Smallville, so
And then I think there was a part where again Diana props up beat a mouthpiece for Lois. So definitely Tomasi and Jarvis. I'm sorry.
yeah, I was about to say that level. Superman, Charles Sewell, Volume 2.
I would still put this in God tier because Diana, even though it was the doomed like crossover and it kind of detoured it a little bit, you still got Diana at her, she still remained important. You get the where
You
Clark
snapped
tells
him out
her
of it.
she snapped him out of it.
And
You
remember,
get the
that's
part
where we get the world comes first thing.
exactly, and we also get where Clark says, "Let me save you," and Diana says, "Race you." We get issue 12, um, and yeah. So I would say that, and also you get where Diana says, I meant the part of when she says that she loves him. Is no, it's hard for her to say it out loud still, but it's still the fact that she said it out loud out of frustration because of strife.
Exactly. I love it. So then we get to Superman Doomed.
Doomed because of Lobdell, he drops it. I would say have it Olympian.
Yeah, I was about to say because yeah, I mean the problem with it is that again, it's still like Lois is like a big like part of that story, and it's like she's like an important part of it. So I'm like, nah, and it's kind of weird a little bit.
Right.
It's still it's better than Death of Superman. Let me put it to you that way. And it should have been the story they adapted for that movie, but still,
Yeah.
all right.
Sugar Honey Iced Tea. I already know.
You already know it. You already
I
know
already
it.
know. I already know.
This is the breakup. What about the next one? Action Comics, like I think it's like the one where they go on the date and he kisses her and they decide we're just gonna be friends.
That is definitely Tomasi Jurgens because that was another bait and switch, and especially with Byrne, Perez, he wanted them to have like this. We are moving too fast, but we like we're going to eventually get together, but let's become friends first, and especially with Diana, she needed to understand her place and the world around her. She was still learning. And then Clark, he was kind of just in his own thing, and he felt so like impulsive. So it needs to be like a little bit more paced, with them.
I agree with
um
you.
and I would have rather had George Perez continue on with developing their relationship. And again, he had them so, close. And also, he was going to do Superman and Wonder Woman Rendezvous, where they would get together, for the first time. And again, it was just a very complicated, setting up a very complicated on and off or slow burn relationship.
Exactly. JLA Midsummer's Night Dream.
Honestly, I would say in the um hmm,
Mm,
that's kind of hard. It's let's see,
I mean,
maybe
it's good.
Olympian, maybe Olympian because you have this moment where Clark goes to Diana, and he's the one that obviously is the most trusted, to go to her, and she trusts him, and she knows that even if they are suffering through amnesia, she she still knows that deep down she can trust this flying man, that comes into her office. And you also are introduced to the idea of Diana being a teacher at an all girls school. So, this is also written by Mark Wade. So it's kind of like he has the potential to write Diana. It's just the fact of, you know, give him, I guess he needs the motivation or he needs some more positivity, in order to get it right.
Exactly. Um. Okay. Superman, Our World's at War.
Olympian.
Yeah, because I love the parts where so Diana's injured and Superman like ignores Lois and
Yes.
like complete. Oh, by the way, Lois says put Kingdom Come at the top here because it started all this. Yeah, I'd say so. It should go. This is the one time I'm gonna put it before Charles Sewell because you wouldn't really have that big of a Charles Sewell thing without Kingdom Come.
I agree. I agree.
So I'll go with that. But yeah, because I like I also again I love where Diana's injured and Superman has to like fly and he goes I can't lose Diana.
Right. It's there's also um where Diana, like, I forgot what exploded, but when the whatever it was exploded in space, he is so concerned about her only. And so Aquaman is like, okay, what about the others? And Clark says, what? There are others? He's only concerned about getting Diana to safety. Um,
And he
and
ignores Lame.
and then Maxima says he cares for that one. And so I think it was Aquaman that says, yeah, he cares about everyone, but at the same time, it's still like, no, but he cares for her. Like, um,
Specifically her, bro.
and you also get the moment where Clark says, please help her when he's talking to Hippolyta. And he says, that's my best friend. And Hippolyta combats him with, well, that's my daughter. So you have that inkling that should have been a little bit more expanded of Clark and Hippolyta's interaction of how they cared for Diana so much.
And Lord Zed makes his usual entrance saying, sorry I'm late. Is Lois dead yet?
It wouldn't be a 100 issue episode without that.
Yeah, so I appreciate that, brother. Absolute Wonder Woman.
Definitely
I'm
God
gonna have to put
tier.
that in God. I'm gonna have to insist we put that in God tier. My God.
Exactly, because we have the, in a sense, the spiritual successor of Perez. Because
And it's the
you,
antithesis of King.
yes, you have this Diana who was literally raised in hell, but she has the purest of spirits.
She's so cute. And again, this is the thing. It shouldn't work, but it
Exactly.
does.
Yes, this Diana is, she's honestly, okay, the witchy, part, Diana isn't, mainline Diana isn't casting spells or anything like that. But her characterization and just that spirit that she has, her motivation is finding her sisters. You know, that is what Diana, mainline Diana, is supposed to be. Is her biggest motivation is making her mother proud and honoring, representing her sisters. You know, and honoring the Amazon culture and everything that they have gone through. She is the one that is teaching the, outside world of the Amazons, and going back to integrating, slowly, the Amazons into the mortal world if they so choose. But it's just, that is what we are getting here, of Diana just representing who she in truth supposed to be. And as you said,
Exactly.
the
Well, plus
antithesis of
also,
King.
yeah, plus also, Mama Cersei is. I love Cersei as Diana's mom. Plus,
Right.
I love the backups of little Diana. Those are
Yes.
so cute.
Yes, little Diana is so cute. Is
Plus, then
so
you get the
adorable.
2 issues with Mateo de Luis's art, which looks like a freaking movie.
Right.
Like, NJ has been calling for this, and I'll call for it. If Kelly Thompson takes over for King on the main Wonder Woman book, can you imagine if the artist is Mateo de Luis?
Oh my God. That would, oh my God. That would be perfect.
That would make up for everything they've done.
Yes.
Like, my God. All right, last one. Absolute Superman.
For now, he goes into the Olympian stage
I
because we
agree.
haven't, he is very slow burn with this
It's
book.
slow burn. I do like the emphasis that this puts on Krypton, and I love how this is pissing off classic Superman fans. They're like, "Why is it
Right.
focused so much on Krypton?" And I go, "It's cool." And I like how they go back to the whole the champion of the oppressed. It's basically the revival of New 52 Superman, which I really like. The dust cape is freaking dope,
Right.
and I just love I love Laura in this, where she goes to save Jor-El, and she's like, shh, shh, let's go. I
Exactly.
love it. I love it. And I love the Kryptonian culture that it really like digs into here. And I still don't think I'm not entirely convinced they're gonna do Lois and Clark. We'll
I
see though.
mean, that, honestly, you have a whole new world. Why would you do the same, relationships? And especially with, you know, Thompson, she says Steve is out of the picture. Um, Clark, I mean, well, Cal and Lois, that really makes no sense. Um, it just, it. it just wouldn't seem right, because of her occupation and everything. You already have the point of, oh, she's now a kind of like trying to be a writer, and it's like, do something a little different. Batcat, and I would say that Snyder was never. I think he said that he's never really a fan of the main line Batcat because there's like a certain way to write them. So he wanted it to be of his own terms, and he's still respecting Selena, and there's still something interesting there. Having Diana and Cal stuck in the traditional relationships of Steve and Lois is just, it defeats the purpose of having a new line of books or universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And then Lord Zed players will pray they don't do Lois and Clark. Lois is unnecessary in the absolute universe. Well, yeah. And absolute Wonder Woman is making mainline Wonder Woman look like garbage. It's not hard to make Tom King's Wonder Woman look like dog doo-doo.
Exactly.
I was gonna, in fact, add. Actually, you know what? I'll do this. Hang on. We'll do one more book. Hang on. There's one more book I gotta add in here. So let me get this. By the way, so while I find this picture, what did you guys think of our tier list? Real quick, and by when old Superman fancy Krypton they forgot that Kal is an alien. I know they always forget or really like resent the fact that Superman is an alien. I think so. I'm
I'm
gonna
telling you, they want him to like drink some radioactive milk.
Gotcha. That's so good. So I unshared this because I'm adding something. I want this to be a surprise. I already know where you're gonna say this goes, but I might as well just for fun do this. All right. So let me go into here. All right, here we go. You ready?
Oh Lord.
All right. Wonder Woman 6 by Tom King.
Oh, that goes in the mint. No, that goes into Marcy and Jurgens.
Good. Oh, you mean his pinky toe into a bottle cap of water?
Yes,
Yeah.
because that's exactly what that was. I mean, no, that was an insult. Especially with talking about, oh, I'm gonna do a deep dive. Deep dive where?
Hiya!
Like,
Yeah, exactly. I know I brought up, but one fan told me Krypton is gone. Why go into a dead culture?
and that is very, as we said, very xenophobic and very insulting because a lot of cultures die in a sense of well, naturally in a sense of Krypton because they um the political aspect of it, but you never want a culture to die, especially with how people are ingrained within themselves. You have to know who you are as a person, you know. In reality, how do you think people know of um, their bloodlines?
Well, remember, Britt, these are the same people that promote John Byrne as a Superman writer, despite the fact that he has called immigrants ungrateful.
You're right. That and
As
that
soon
is
as you know that, it explains so much.
it does. And but for me, and why knowing of your culture is important, and knowing of your family history is, I mean, it's important to know because of medical history, or um, why do you have a certain appearance, or something like that. It could be a just a trait that you have, and that is something that you want to trace back to of where did this come from. So you have to know your family history, and that goes in within deeper of your own culture.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
for anyone who tries to dismiss a culture, they, I mean, honestly, it will be like you value little about just life as a whole at some
Also,
point.
Lewis brings up a good point. He goes, "We still study dead cultures.
We do.
People still learn Latin."
That's true.
Oh, I would so learn Kryptonian if I could. Oh my god! But NJ says, "Do Zarnians have high class culture?" I don't know because Lobo killed them all. I wish he didn't, but I have no idea. It could be they did. That'd be hilarious. They're like the most sophisticated person, and he was a genetic abnormality, and his genetic abnormality was him being so like Jason Momoa-ish, if you will. Because let's be honest, if there's any casting that I think nails it, it's Jason Momoa as Lobo. That does work.
I mean, because he's just gonna act like, as you said, Jason Momoa. Like,
Yeah. By Louise asked, we still have young men fantasize about Roman history because, after all, we all think about the Roman Empire. I can't believe that was ever a meme. I still don't understand that. How often do you think of the Roman Empire? Not recently, but okay. I never got that. So, by the way, now we're going to do a little question and answer. So you guys can ask us any questions. Any questions that are burning. Could be about why Lois Lane belongs in the ninth circle of hell. Why
oh
Steve
my
Trevor
God.
is a perpetual stick in the mud. Whatever questions you guys would like for us to ask. But let's see. Now, Britt, let me ask you this. Where is your least favorite Superman or Wonder Woman comic?
My least
Least.
individually.
Individually.
Oh God. My least, of course, is Tom King for Wonder Woman,
That's not that
and
hard.
then right. But you also have Rucka Volume Two. Rebirth. Um, Superman. I would say Death of Superman. Uh, anything Jurgens and Tomasi Rebirth. Um, yeah. Together, honestly, the bottom tier, well, we had Injustice, but that's more of a Justice League type thing. So I would say, as far as a team up, would be Immortal Beloved. Like that would just be
Mm.
the least bottom tier.
Right. Lord Zed asked, so when do you think Lois is finally going to awaken her demon powers? Again, I say this every week. I just love how I've awoken the anti-Lois fandom. I freaking love that. Is I will I go to sleep every night happy that this show has done that. And I am so happy about that. Could be whenever someone that actually understands how evil she is will take over the book. That'd be hilarious if the next person that takes over Superman absolutely hates Lois and like makes her trip over everything and like she loses her job. That'd be super dope. The
Yeah, because
depression of Lois Lane.
yeah, because the editor in chief stuff is just like you tried to make her Superwoman, that didn't work. Now you're trying to make her as editor, and
She's Perry
that
White.
right. It's nothing really to it.
Actually, Britt, before anyone asked us, because we know people are going to ask about us, what do you think of Corn Sweat saying he wants Superman and Wonder Woman to be in a love triangle?
Okay, so I think that with that he was kind of joking about the love triangle part. Um he but he does want them to team up. Like obviously he knows about their relationship, their partnership, so he finds an interest in it. And the fact that it made, Chloe's fans bust a couple of arteries was very funny.
They are the most snowflakey, easily like triggered group of fans I have ever seen.
And the reason why is I saw a couple of tweets. It was basically one, she called um she called Corn Sweat sexist and misogynistic. I'm like, of course, your favorite word. She brought up his daughter, saying that he has a daughter. Why would he like Superman and Wonder Woman? And I'm like, okay, first of all, Superman and Wonder Woman has a much more respectful relationship other than Chloe, because you have a book from the 60s called Superman's Girlfriend, Lois Lane. And the thing is, the
Lois
premise
Lane did blackface.
and the premise of the book is that she is doing some dumb stuff for a man to marry her. Is that not misogynistic and sexist? That is not female empowerment, you know? Um, she's not a girl's girl. You know, any woman, even, even whatever female character is around Lois, is always used as a mouthpiece or a stepping stool. And so, again, how is Superman and Wonder Woman sexist and misogynistic when that is the foundation of that relationship, and everything is about equality? It's about respect and honor. Um, and no, just because Clark isn't obsessed with Diana to the point where he turns into Injustice Superman or whatever, or he lets people drown like in the Justice League Drown crossover. No,
Mm-hmm.
that that's not that. It's about
But
him being
MJ brings up a good point. Lois was the OG damsel in distress.
exactly until, of course, they changed it because they wanted her to be likable and pretty much worthy of Superman. That's
By making
the
her
only reason why.
likable.
Right. Um, and then uh, I- it was more of saying, oh, he needs to be a super bat fan. He needs to be in a triangle with Batman and Lois because they think, of course, they want Batman to end up.
Well,
Um,
remember, it's because that was the Batman Superman like DCAU debut, where it was Lois was in fact Lois actually dated Batman in that. But Cameron
exactly.
brings up close fans are not happy. She even saw one said, "Please God, no, let Diana be happy with Cheetah."
Yeah, the cheetah ship is like, what are you talking about? And the fact of the revisionist history about that, saying, oh well, Diana was in love with her when they were friends. No, she was
No,
not.
and
And
it's firmly established in canon that Barbara corrupted the Cheetah spirit, not the other way around.
exactly. But you know who changed it? Rucka.
Rucka.
Rucka changed it. He made it seem like the cheetah spirit was actually evil, and
Because do you
uh,
know why? For some reason, Rucka's incapable of writing characters that aren't lesbians.
it's ridiculous. I mean, Cheetah was a villain. In New 52, she was manipulative. In Perez, she was manipulative. She wasn't actually Diana's friend. That's the whole thing. Barbara is never Diana's actual friend. She's using Diana to get what she wants. And then once she gets what she wants, she turns on Diana. And she's basically like, as in a archaeologist, she's basically categorized as like a colonizer where she steals things. Like she wants things for fame, finding things or whatever like that. So she was never a good person. So this whole revisionist thing, yep, stop it. And you also have the whole, oh, she needs to be with Artemis too. Okay,
Even though
no,
Artemis is like actually 15.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
it's so it's insanity, and just so doesn't make sense for, like I said, you can have so many of these fans almost busting like every artery to hate on Super Wonder, but the ship and the ideas that they have individually for Superman and Wonder Woman, and then other pairings, it is so much worse. You know, I never understood that. But Corn Sweat, I mean, he fought for the trunks. But at the same time, he still knows the lore of Superman. He knows, he has respect for it. He's not going to be um, biased against anything. So for him to say that he
Well, here's the
believes
thing.
that,
At least he from that statement alone, even if it's not Super Wonder, he knows that Diana and Clark have to have some type of relationship.
Exactly. And for him to say that it's interesting, it's like, okay, yeah,
Thank
he
you.
knows, you
Then
know?
explore it.
Yeah. And
But still, I'm like, I appreciate that. I'm like, you're kind of winning me over, David. You're kind of winning me over.
but also, I mean, you have a new universe and it's all about these established heroes. It's all about creating something new. But yet you're falling into the same traditional things that has not worked. Like Superman as a franchise has not worked, and you're doing the same formula. The only thing that's different from here is that Lois obviously knows his identity from the very beginning, but it seems like what Gunn is doing is skipping over all of development and just having it there. And you're trying to rush having this established world, but you're undercutting so many of the relationships and development of it. Like, where's the first meetings of anything? You know, um, you never had a Justice League before. You have Max Lord being like over the Hall of Justice, which honestly I think that really again undercuts everything because the Hall of Justice was supposed to be created by the Justice League once it was formed. And for you not to have a Justice League in an established universe, or not even to mention the JSA either, it just kind of like, what are you doing? How are you having um, heroes already established for 200, 300 years, and they've never talked about teams? It's always been now you have Max Lord having this corporate team.
Yeah, and then NJ says, "Do you think he can have some influence on Super Wonder shit later on the way he did with the Trunks?" I think so. Um, I
Yeah, he
mean,
can.
I mean, he. I think he definitely can. And the very fact that, like Gunn said, has sung the praises of the new 52 is like shows me that he's open to it. Now, again, just because Clark is with Lois in this does not mean he will be with her in future movies. And I was talking to Robert about this. Now, Robert is the biggest Lois fan there is. And even he says, hey, if they treat it respectfully and if they do the breakup respectfully, and I would want the breakup with Lois to be respectful too, to be fair. If they do all this respectfully, fine. It's like, yeah, explore that. We've never seen that in movie form.
You know, I would be petty and be like, no, don't be respectful because they wasn't respectful in
Oh,
the
I know
DCAU.
you would. I know you would. Come on. Oh, Louis says, why do you think some female fans constantly want Diana to be a lesbian? Fetishes.
Well, first of all, we did come across that where some to say that they were afraid of powerful men and don't trust a powerful man.
Yeah, and I said, wait a minute. What about if that man is literally the most virtuous man in the world?
Like
Because isn't that who Superman is?
the most humbled, the most, loving, trustworthy. That was the point of this relationship to show a powerful man is the most humbled, is the most trustworthy. The Amazons trust him, not just Diana. How is this still a problem? And yeah, it does just boil down to fetishes.
Yeah, that's kind of what that is on that point. And then, or just kill her. Yeah, exactly. They're self-inserting into Diana. True. And then Rivaldo says, this is something I hope to see in the future. Superman, I mean, he has this symbol. So does that make me hope in DC's latest chapter we'll get Kingdom Come? Yeah, I think they probably could go with I wish they would like build up to it more. Okay, by David says he throws Lois into the sun. This makes him the number one Lois respecter. I love you, Dave. That's awesome. And then, yeah, well, actually, Lord Zed actually brings up a good point. They're scared of him. That's the thing, and that's why so many people. And by QT, why no Kingdom Come? I don't know why, but anyway, but Zed brings up a good point because so many I almost said so many lesbians. I mean, so many Chloe's fans are like they don't want it to be in the movies because they're threatened that the general audience, because I think they know that like the general audience is slipping away from Chloe's. I think they
But the
know that.
thing is, what's so bad is that for the marketing of this movie, Lois was not in it. Like besides the obviously she plays the love interest, but that's it. Like she's in the trailers. She has the character. They even had a fit through a fit because she wasn't like in the first batch of the character posters to be revealed. But once her poster was revealed, it's the blandest thing ever. And but she isn't on any type of merchandise. They had promotion art that was, for the movie, and it was Lois and Clark, but the way it's drawn, it looks nothing like um Rachel. Like it looks nothing like Rachel. And you also have yeah, the other merchandise, which is like the no action figure. I mean, they having a fit over
Why would
not having
Lois get an action figure? She's never
right,
had one.
right. Um, Nothing like that. She's not on any type of merch. The only thing that she has are the Funkos, and it's like, okay, every character within this movie has Funkos, and she's on like the Funko cartoon promotion, but it still does not, you know, really just stand out. You know, um, Crypto has been more within the marketing because honestly, that is kind of sad that they are relying on a superpowered dog instead of this supposed iconic relationship that's supposed to be the number one seller, you know.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that says a lot that this relationship and Lois as a character is not marketable. And honestly, she looks like a random kindergarten school teacher. Her wardrobe is so like within the 70s, and it's like what are you doing? She doesn't stand out. I believe they had a red carpet like premiere in London, and they had like cosplayers. It was only one Lois cosplayer, and she looked like one of the crew members for the red carpet. You could not tell that, oh, she's part of the that whole group, that creative group.
Yeah, it's because Lois is such a basic character. It's like there's a reason why I don't see Lois cosplayers at cons. And the thing is like because Todd McFarlane is known for focusing on the business aspect, and he knows Lois action figures don't sell because you can't do anything with them. And
Exactly.
and before you say, well, collectors can put them on the shelves, but yeah, but I'm sure he's thought of that. But the thing is like you can't exactly even do dynamic poses with Lois either way.
Exactly. And honestly, who is going to buy it? Like, they're not going to buy a kindergarten teacher doll.
I mean, I would buy a Lois action figure to put it in a hydraulic press.
Yeah, you would do that. You
I would live stream it. So today we're seeing how many Lois figures can stand up to 2,000 pounds of pressure.
yeah, you would do that. But yeah, she's not marketable, and she can't sell, you know. Um, so it was also like I said with the superpower dog, Crypto. When the teaser trailer first came out, Crypto was the draw, and I'm like,
Still
wow,
kind of
he
is.
was, yeah, he was even the bigger draw than Superman himself.
And by
So
Bane says you need Lois to complete the whole set of Superman. Yeah, but once you have that, once you have that, what do you do with her? You technically don't need her because by that logic, we need a Perry White figure. We need a Jimmy Olsen figure. We need a Cat Grant figure. Where does it stop?
exactly, I mean, I guess you need a statue or something of the Daily
Don't
Planet.
tempt them. Don't tempt them. Yeah, you need a Daily Planet statue. So where is that coming? The thing is, it's like, no, you don't need a Lois figure because not enough people are going to buy it from McFarlane to justify the price point that comes with making it. That's the thing.
Exactly.
That's what people don't realize. Again, I'm going to repeat it. I say this every single time. This is a business. It's not a charity. That's it.
Exactly. You can have as many people on Twitter retweeting, saying this and that, but they don't put their money where their mouth is. They really don't. They and we've seen it with look at the Convergence spinoff for Chloe. DC marketed it as, oh, the original power couple, or the real Superman is back, and all of that, and it only hit 30K debut.
Yeah. Oh, it freaking flopped. Even the lowest book by Rucka flopped
Exactly.
hard.
So what does that say? Yeah, you can have these Chloe's fans talking major, you know, um, cow manure, but that does not translate to them actually supporting financially the products.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, again, when Sam Liu came on my show, one thing he says that what annoys him is that some fans will say, we wanted this project, we wanted this project, we wanted this project. Then when it comes out, they don't show up to watch it.
Like Bloodlines.
Like Bloodlines, exactly that. So it's kind of funny when I saw that like a lot of DC animated movies were for free on YouTube. I was going through them and Bloodlines is on there, and I go, nope, keep scrolling. Oh,
Yeah,
Wonder Woman 2009, hell yes.
yeah, and it's very telling, that a lot of these fans, again, they do not support, they just want their way. That's the thing. They want to say that basically that they have control, and DC lets them.
Yeah, exactly. But as you know, Batman Ninja 2 is officially on Max. Hell yeah. Is Catwoman on her without Batman own marketable? Yes, she is. She's one of the love interests I think is marketable on her own. Case in point, DC gives her own book all the time, and she sells decently for who she is. She see here's the thing with Catwoman, as opposed to Lois, she's marketable because she can do stuff other than be a yeah, love interest. Exactly. She's not defined by that. Lois will always be defined by Superman saving her. That's it.
Right. She's defined by being the love interest. And yeah, Catwoman, she also has not only can be branded on her own, but she also extended to the Gotham City Sirens too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's one of those things where I'm like, guys, it's. I get that people have this loyalty to a particular character like Lois. I really do. The problem is, it just like it leads to them asking for stuff that would be detrimental to the company. Barry Lewis says, DC management in a nutshell. Listen to the minority who doesn't clearly do well. Yeah, exactly. Barry Dave says, Catwoman is marketable because she's an actual action adventure character who does stuff. Yes, that is my point there. You can play with a Catwoman action figure and have them do stuff. With Lois, oh, look, I can have my Superman character save my Lois character. How boring is that?
Right.
It never ceases to like amazing. Have you heard that coincidence? Yeah, exactly. We're just talking about that random, but yeah, it's one of those things where I'm just like, guys, this isn't the way to. It's like, again, I understand. Look at Lois. It's just, again, it's like when it has demonstrated to not monetarily work, you have to go beyond that. But when I see fans say that they don't care if it doesn't sell or like sales aren't everything, I say to a business, it is. Okay, that attitude is exactly why DC, until they did the Absolute Universe, was like blowing up. And by QT makes thing. Lois doesn't even have a presence in Lego. Sometimes she has a Lego figure, but it's rare that she has a Lego figure. And by the way,
she doesn't.
what?
Oh, I was gonna say, right, she doesn't even have a Lego figure, and I think they do have a Lego like set for the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you can play as Lois in like DC super villains.
Really?
I just realized how ironic that is. But the problem with that is like she's the most generic character. Do is like the double jump, maybe punch some characters, but that's it. And I go, yeah, wow, guys, it's like you can't even make her do cool stuff. Well, no,
Right.
because she can't do cool stuff. So there you go.
I mean, even making her Superwoman, it really was pointless. Like, she was not an equal to Superman. It was definitely in the perspective of Superman, of course, and she was more like the sidekick. She didn't do anything to stand out. And also now, or well, Williamson didn't drag it out, but he didn't really make it that impactful of how it was basically implied how Clark loved her having the powers because she could understand him more. And I'm kind of like, well, they've been married for a long time, and you're saying that she doesn't understand him still. That's a red flag. But also, um, saying that, well, she could be with him, like do things that he really wants to do. And it's like, well, if you want someone who naturally has powers and naturally has that perspective of being a superhero and everything, Diana's right there,
Yeah, I know.
and she actually
It's right
understands him.
there.
So, trying to jump over hoops, mental gymnastics, and all of that for Lois, it's unnecessary, especially when you aren't getting the support and the financial support. But with Super Wonder, you see that yes, it is marketable, it does work. Um, if they are to have them as something in DCU, I would much rather for it to be that they remain the friends aspect because you do get more out of it. You know, you
I
get
would say
more
so.
of that. You give more that deepness, and you root for them. When you have it just there, what's there to root for? Unless it is a story being told that you know that the couple is organic and the the drama between them makes sense, for the character development, then yeah, you'll root for that too. But when it's something as defaulted as clothes and stuff, honestly, what is there to root for? Where is there, how is that enthusiastic to see the same story basically have the same outcome? It's very predictable. Oh, he's with Lois. Okay. Like, it's been done 1,000 times over. Do something new, especially with this being a new universe. Do something actually new that's going to be marketed. And as I said, this movie is supposed to have them as a couple. It's supposed to show, especially with the interviews of Gunn and saying how Lois is important and things like that. But yet, she isn't marketable outside of whatever they are talking about, and like I said, only in trailers. But to actually have that impact of merchandising and stuff and just individual character, period, we have not seen any promotion of like her really standing out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because again, Lois is pretty generic, so you really can't. I guess that's the interesting part of this is like you she's it never ceases to amaze me about how like it's like again it's like it it never ceases to amaze me also how DC again I think the reason why DC continues to prop up Lois is because you have too many nostalgic fans. That's why. That's really where we're standing on this.
And it's kind of like, okay, so you have the nostalgia, but again, is it helping? And no, it hasn't helped because Superman has not had a, I would say he's very much in the so-so category of success when it comes to movie franchise and actually keeping the general audience invested in his character.
Exactly. And by the way, we're shipping Lois with Doomsday,
Oh,
Loomsday,
oh,
or Dios, or with Brainiac, Laniac, or Brois.
oh my God.
Oh God, you guys never ever cease to completely blow me away with this.
Wow.
My God, that is so good. But Cameron asked, what are your guys' thoughts on Smallville, or how the writers and shippers say it's a cute nick? If you talk, okay, so you're talking about Smallville as a nickname. I hate it because what it
Yeah.
really is, that's basically Lois calling Clark a hick.
Yes. And that is where it derived from. Her basically belittling him and everything like that. And it just became this romanticized. It they say it's an endearment. No, it's not. When you know what that is of, yeah, calling him a hick, talking about actual, Smallville as a small town and everything like that, that is very insulting. So to romanticize something that's so insulting, I I don't like that. That's kind of like, in a sense, it's not that drastic or that, but it's like using a slur, with your significant other and
Well,
trying
again,
to,
remember Lois did wear blackface.
well, yeah, that's true. So that isn't, honestly, that's not beneath her to do that.
Oh,
But yeah.
Lois and Darkseid. Lark
Well, they
side.
did
Lark
they
side.
they did have a cover of Lois and Darkseid before.
Well,
So,
well, remember in the Justice League Unlimited continuation comics, they had a Earth where Diana fell in love with Darkseid.
and who was
J.M.
co-writing,
DeMatteis,
but who was also involved?
Bruce Timm.
James Tucker.
Ah, all of a
Hmm.
sudden, everything comes into clear picture. Clear
Yes.
picture. So you
And
know
you
what I'm
see
doing right
why.
now? By the way, I am making a Superman and Wonder Woman movie tier list that we're gonna do.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to include animation as well. I'm not going to be able to include everything, but we'll start with this. We'll do this. But anyway, Lois has no power. It does love power after all. Don't forget. Lois is the anti-life equation. She is the anti-life equation as the body. That is the final crisis. I'm just saying.
Oh my God. Wow. That is
Uh,
the final crisis.
she
Oh my God.
that's Superman's crisis. Darkseid has too big of an ego to love Lois. You know it's bad when Darkseid has standards.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, and then I'm almost done. I just got a couple more to add. Oh, this is gonna be good, Britt. This is gonna be really good. A few of these I'm gonna combine, so we'll just go with this. All right, here we go. Template cover photo. I'm just gonna do this and here. And here we go. Almost done, ladies and gents. This is gonna be a fun one. All right, it's gotta change something because the background doesn't work. But okay, here. Promise that this will be worth it because I got something in mind here. All right. JPG. Okay, here we go. Let's add this. All right, so I am going to do this, upload, and then it's okay, God tier. What should the A tier name be?
Hmm. Hmm. I have no idea.
Let's go with yeah, guys, what should our A tier be? It can be anything you guys think we should have.
Immortal? No. Hmm.
Blueprint. Okay, that's pretty good. I do
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
I do like that. I'll go with that. Just give me 1 second. I'm just finalizing the images I want to use. So is this the no? Okay, so I'm just gonna take this, go all the way down into here, go here. All right, so we'll go with these ones. Okay, and okay, so we're gonna go with Blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Trinity or Chucky Baby is gonna be. I'm putting Chucky Baby as the last one. That has to be that. B is going to be okay. So should the B tier be Hippolyta? That's one we could use.
Okay.
Hippolyta, and what's your C tier is gonna be Bruce Timm and James Tucker.
Yeah.
That has to be. Oh, I got what the second tier has got to be. The guy that was behind the Tomorrowverse. I know we said his name.
Jim Krieg. Correct.
Jim Krieg. Doing that one.
K-R, I think
E-I-G? I-E-G.
Yeah.
Okay. I-E-G. All right, here we go. That's what we're doing. All right. Confirm it's not a duplicate. Here we go. So let us... Is it going to work? Gonna work. Please work. Please work. Please work. Please work. Come on. It's loading, but it's taking forever to load. Anyway, while it loads, anyway. So let me ask you this, Britt. What's your favorite moment from the show that we? Oh, here we go. It's loaded. And hold that moment real quick. We'll talk about that in a second. So here we go. So this is gonna be Superman and Wonder Woman in live action and animation. I combined both. So I got God tier, Jim Krieg, Hippolyta, Bruce and James Tucker, and Chucky Baby. So we have Superman the movie, 1978, Christopher Reeve.
All right, so let's put that in Jim Krieg.
Because it was good for its time, I think.
Exactly, it's good for its time, but the nostalgic, obsession with it takes away the significance of it, and I just can't deal with that.
All right, DCAU, Bruce and James Tucker.
Oh, Lord, there goes into Chucky Baby.
Yeah, making Wonder Woman a wonder simp. No.
Yeah.
All right, Bloodlines.
Chucky Baby. Yeah.
All right, Crisis Trilogy.
God tier.
Again, I have no complaint. Besides the immortality, but even with that, they made it an interesting plot point and a character and a part of her character. So that's why I don't necessarily mind her being old in this as much as I normally do. Like it was an actual plot point.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, now put Bloodlines in Tartarus. Nah, we're gonna stick with this. All right. Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Honestly, I would say God tier because
I was about to say, be very careful, Britt.
The reason why I said God tier is because that is the moment at that time, regardless of how people feel now, present time. In that time, the introduction of Wonder Woman was so big, and this created massive debate, and whether good or bad, it still created this fandom. And of course, you getting into BVS and everything like that, DCEU wouldn't have the show. So
yeah, exactly. And it's that brought Wonder Woman as a character into new relevance, and that's what people that hate the DCEU portrayal of Wonder Woman forget. I'm like, sure, 1984 has its issues, but this particular at this point, it's everyone admits the coolest part of BVS, besides the warehouse Batman fight, is when she comes down and she goes where she fights Doomsday, where she gets knocked back and she just smiles like she's actually enjoying herself in a fight. I love that. By the way,
exactly.
Gal Gadot's improv. She said, I thought she should be feisty and enjoying herself because she has a challenge. And I go, you get Wonder Woman.
Exactly.
She's so
Chucky baby. Chucky
yeah,
baby.
Injustice. I was about to say Injustice. That is because even on that, they use it as yeah, we have to show that they like each other, but no. And then it's like, what the
Yeah,
hell are you guys doing? Okay, Justice League action.
God tier.
God
Because you
tier.
had a fun Diana. Like she was so much fun. This was so fun and lighthearted. And having Clark and Diana secretly dating, knowing that, it was a kind of like that line that wasn't taken too serious, but obviously they dated throughout the whole thing. And what's so funny is that being in denial, detractors was like, oh, they only had that one episode where they tried to date and
You
they
probably
didn't.
didn't pay attention. By the way, Britt, we should do an episode just on Justice League action.
That's right, we haven't really
We
went
haven't really
over
done.
that.
We've talked about it, but we haven't done a deep dive into the show because I think that'd be kind of fun.
Right, yes.
Plus, also, I like Wonder Woman's like design. The show, the little spiky hair she has there.
Yes,
I kind of
exactly.
dig that. For one design for this one show, I'm like, okay, that's actually pretty good. I like that.
Right. And I also like the line where Diana, they are on the mascara and Diana, Hippolytus asks her who is these men, and
Mm-hmm.
Diana says they're my sidekicks. It's like you would not have Diana's dialogue be that in DCAU. This
No,
has to be someone who actually cares for Diana for her to say these are my sidekicks. And yeah, Clark and Bruce looked at each other, but it's kind of like they just went with it. Like,
and Athena trolling Batman was epic. Well,
yeah.
only that. I get the feeling that Clark. Oh wait, if I go along with this, I get a kiss after this. I mean that's what the average American male is thinking of. Let's be real here.
All right.
So yeah, it doesn't necessarily. I do agree with Dave. It's not that it doesn't have that much depth, but it's not supposed to. It's like supposed to be just more of like a fun like cartoon, and I'm like, it did its job for what it's gonna do.
Exactly.
Justice League War. Ignore what later
Oh,
happens of this Wonder Woman.
I would say God tier because the plane scene alone of
Mhm.
Diana upside down and them looking at each other like that, that was so
They
much
did
fun.
the "You're Strong, I Know" better than the comic did, honestly.
Exactly. That was so much fun. And her saying, by the gods and stuff. And then the ending where she, although she, compared the other Justice Leaguers to gods, she still made it known that Clark wasn't like any god or mortal. So basically establishing that they're both the in-betweeners that we always talk about.
Exactly. All right. Random says, should Wonder Woman wear heels or not? I'm fine either way, but I prefer the boots.
Right.
All right.
Heels are
Crisis.
okay. You know,
Mhm.
they, I mean, sometimes her boots have heels, but if it's flat, she's already tall. So it's kind of like, it's really unnecessary.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot a movie I got to add to this. Hang on. I
Okay.
forgot a movie here. This is one that I really that needs to be in this.
Oh, Lord.
All right, hang on. Okay, here we go. You'll know what I'm talking about in a second. It'll be the last one here. So anyway, I have to because I want this to be a surprise.
Every time I get scared when you say you want it to be a surprise.
No, trust me. This one, you're as soon as I add this, you're gonna go. Yeah, you kind of have to. All right, here we
Okay.
go. It's added. I'm not going to tell. You'll know which one it is because it's at the end of the line, but you'll see why I had to add this. Anyway, the Crisis Trilogy.
Oh, of
God
course,
dear.
that's here.
God dear. Just Wonder Woman riding a T-Rex is something I didn't know I needed until that exact moment when I was like,
Exactly.
yeah. She talks to animals. She sacrificed herself. The world comes first. And
Yes.
for the internet's reaction to her kissing Superman alone, that gets in the god tier. That was so good. Wonder Woman 2009.
Hippolyta. The
All
reason
right.
why I would say give it the 50-50 is because of the Tom Treasure, yeah. But
It kind of
the
is the Tom Tresser
yeah,
version.
but the fact that you still are romanticizing this and at the end she still stayed with him and stuff, and it's kind of like just he messed up the whole not the whole movie, but just that part of trying to get her drunk, talking to her in a very misogynistic and degrading way in front of her mother and everything like that. I just couldn't take it. So that slashes the movie, in half for me.
All right, I agree too. Yeah, it's cool. Let me put it this way: compared to Bloodlines, it's Zack Snyder's Justice League level of quality. But on its own, it's like, speaking of the Snyder cut, I wonder where this is gonna go.
Of course, God's here.
I'm gonna have to insist, Britt. I'm gonna have to insist because for the scene alone where Wonder Woman saves all those kids, and then the girl that in my head canon is Donna Troy goes, "Can I be like you someday?" And then Wonder Woman goes, "You can be anything you want to be." I just
And then
love
she
that.
also says she belongs to no one.
Yes, I love that. And then and then when Superman shows up with the axe on the shoulder, she goes, "Kal-El."
Yes.
I'm just like, we need to use that in the Shelterverse at some point. But Superman's entrance alone, because I remember watching this movie with Lad, and I'm like, I thought that Cyborg being injured by Steppenwolf was his acting as well. But he just comes down, he just takes it and he goes, "Is that all you got?" And he just beats the ever-loving crap out of Steppenwolf.
Right.
And then Darkseid being intimidating. I just love that. Throne of Atlantis.
Jim Craig. Because I would
Okay.
say that they did get the kiss and they did go on their date and everything like that. Um, but it was more of an Aquaman movie. It still had their moments and everything like that. But again, we just needed a little bit more, you
Okay.
know?
Okay. And they again, they rushed the relationship. No, she was not nerfed in the Snyder cut. NJ, she was not nerfed. Trust me, she was definitely not nerfed. It's like it's established that like Wonder Woman, even in the comics, has trouble fighting Steppenwolf in the comics anyway, because Steppenwolf is like ridiculously powerful in the comics as well. So it's not, he didn't nerf her.
The only thing that was nerfed actually was the lasso. And that is because they wanted Lois to have that scene of, snapping him out of his
Mm-hmm.
possession. But in the comics, of course, we see that Diana can snap him
Well,
out of it.
Zach explained it. It wasn't just seeing Lois. Do you know what actually happened?
Oh yeah, that she was supposedly pregnant.
Yeah, he used his X-ray vision and saw the baby.
Yeah.
So it's like about, but I see what you're saying there. But in terms of like overall Diana, no, she was not. Definitely not nerfed. Justice League War World.
That goes into Hippolyta because the cowgirl um side of the story was good for Diana. And of course I made an edit of that using, my favorite, of course. But also we get that tease where she says, my Clark, when she recognizes Earth One Superboy within in the Superman suit, and she's actually, treated as a leader and an
Mm-hmm.
equal. And you see that Batman really takes the backseat a lot of in the Tomorrowverse
Which
overall.
I like that a lot. And by NJ, Wonder Woman has trouble going up against Darkseid as well. Anyone should. The point of that movie is that no one can save the Earth alone. It's a Justice League movie. Anyway, Superman, Batman, Apocalypse.
Hippolyta. We
Yeah,
have
they changed the hand on the shoulder thing.
Yeah, you take the emotion out. Like, stop taking the emotion out of these stories, you know?
Counterpoint, you still have the moment where Barda basically tells Diana how much of an inspiration she is.
True, true.
You do have that.
Oh, yeah, it still stays the same
All
because
right, all right.
you
I agree.
you know,
Superman, Man of Tomorrow.
Hippolyta because it's Superboy, you know?
In more ways than one.
Yeah.
And more, I will never forget.
Chucky, baby.
Oh yeah, Chucky Baby, 1984. And I guess like Just Society World War II is God tier.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's like Diana being a badass. Chucky Baby, right? Death and Return of Superman.
I mean, honestly, I would take the Chucky baby, but I'll also put it in what was that? Tartarus tier two. It goes below even
Look
Chucky
how we
baby.
have nothing in the Bruce Timm and James Tucker tier.
You
It's
know,
because
because
it's because when one is so bad, it's just bad.
exactly.
Man of Steel, God tier.
God tier.
Good. I was hoping you'd say that. Look at this. I've turned Britt into a Snyder fan.
I would say I've voiced, what I disagreed upon, some things, but for the most part, it still gave you or gave, still a solid foundation for something. You could have corrected a little bit, not what WB did in overcorrection or things like that, and
Mhm.
just totally screwed up the story. But if it was some things that could have been misconstrued or needed a little bit more tweaking and stuff like that, you still had the foundation to do so. You didn't just have to overreact the way that they did.
Exactly. And by NJ, she still had trouble with Darkseid in that run as well. Let's not forget about that. And by Dave says Wonder Woman has been shown having trouble with Mongol too. Yeah, exactly. But Ruby Sears,
I would say
I'd say Jim
I would
Creek.
say Jim Creek because it's a cute episode. It was Hippolyta again, that interaction. That's why I love their interactions, because for the Amazons to trust Clark and for Clark to say that, him and Diana make a great team. Hippolyta basically, um she thanks him, and she not so much as indebted. I don't like that part of saying that. So switch it around to just basically that he is honored, or is an honored guest of the mascara.
I'll give you that. Superman 2.
Hippolyta.
Yeah, I kind of want to put it there because of the emphasis it puts on Lois.
And I mean, for him to lose his powers to
Also,
get
he
laid,
loses powers and walks from Antarctica all the way to America in a
that,
day.
yeah, and lose your powers just to get laid is kind of
And then
lame.
he comes back as Superman and beats up the guy that emasculated him. I'm like, that's not Superman.
Yeah, it really tells you that, okay, without the powers, basically Clark is useless. But
Mhm.
if he has the powers, then he can act like a macho man, and I just don't like that.
Superman Returns. I
Bruce
think
Timm and
I
James.
was about to say, I think we have our first Bruce and James Tucker.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but that was lame too. I mean, the whole deadbeat stalker thing, and it it was so boring. Like, it was very boring.
Yeah.
Brandon, he was a good Superman, but it's still that whole nostalgia thing.
Yeah. And by the way, Louise says, oh, yeah, he wants us to put Project ACO in there. Should I?
Sure.
All right. All right. I'll add it in there. I'll add it in there. Just give me a second. I'll add it. I'll add it. The things I do for you people. I mean, it technically is Superman Wonder Woman's kid. So I go, I guess we kind of
Oh,
gotta. I haven't
I
watched
mean,
it yet. I need to.
oh yeah, I think it is three movies, and but you can read the tie-in comic, and I will send that to you
Please
later.
do.
But she in the last page, the dialogue is that Diana says, "We did good, Clark," and then he said, "Yeah, Diana, we did." So they actually named them as Diana and Clark.
I just love that. Even the Japanese know that Superman and Wonder Woman belong together. Wonder Woman 2017.
I
Jim
would
Craig?
say Jim Creek. Yes, the
Because
only reason
because her falling in love with Steve in 24 hours,
exactly that
but
was
everything
very
else on
lame.
this, God tier good.
Exactly. The Steve thing basically catapulted the whole 1984 and just and the perception that Diana needs the is obsessed with Steve. She's old as dirt. That she walked away from humanity, so she doesn't have humanity, of her own unless she's with Steve. That pretty much catapults that, and I don't. That's the reason why it's not in God tier.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna put it at the front of Jim Krieg, just because it's borderline there. It has some like issues that keep it there, but it's like right there. It's right
Right.
there.
But it also did good because Diana did gain a lot of popularity. I mean, this really, you know, boost gave Wonder Woman as a character a boost, a big boost.
Exactly. Wonder Woman Linda Carter.
Jim Krieg,
Mhm.
because very much of his time, just like Superman, the movie, the
Mhm.
first movie.
Yeah, exactly. Batman Ninja 2. This is one of the ones I had to add.
Okay,
I
I would say
think
God
we kind
tier.
of have to put it in God tier, exactly, because of how badass Diana is and how she basically redeems everyone. The
Yes,
glowy like tattoos, the way she catches Harley and then just pounds down the ground.
right.
The Eagle Goddess Diana, I just love it. It's so good. And again, it's like it gets bonus points also for also respecting Jessica Cruz. So I'm like,
Yes,
yeah, I kind of have to. All right, Project A-ko.
Jim Krieg. And the reason why is because yes, it is of its time, and it's very fun. Clark and Diana are only in two scenes. They in the animated version, they aren't actually said who they are, so they're very much incognito. But they only have like 5 seconds worth.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it is cute to see that their daughter is very much going into, I would say it's very silver age fun.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. I
and
would say that.
and honestly, if DC had at least half a brain or one third or something, they would see that this is a concept that can be fun. And having the daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman and being, as how Aiko was, it like I said, it would be something very fun.
Exactly. And by the way, Superman 2 is a Polita. If Donner had his cut originally, it would have been a lot better. Yeah, but we're going with the, but still, Superman was still petty in that movie, Dave. That's why we put it that low. But let's see who the boys thing is really double standards. Yeah, where people call out the Man of Steel thing, Britt, but it's like even the Man of Steel thing, he didn't beat up the guy, he took out his truck, and he took out his truck because the dude was a sexual harasser. And I go,
Exactly.
it's bad when Superman fans are defending the sexual harasser.
That is because they really have no morals. Like some Superman fans, they want what they want. They would and they do defend John Byrne because I've seen, some Clovis fans use Action Comics 600 as something. And it's kind of, okay, this is the same writer who has Clark kissing a 14-year-old. Do you seriously want to use this bait and switch as an gotcha moment for just for a ship that you don't like? No. They even defend Scott Lobdell as well, and he's a known um, sexual harasser. As so it's kind of like
And remember, he overly sexualized Starfire
that too,
in the Red Hood and the Outlaws book, where she comes
and
out and she's
Cassie
practically falling out of a bikini.
and Cassie as well.
Oh
So
yeah,
in
exactly.
Teen Titans, so it's kind of like these problematic writers, you why are you standing by them? Just because they give you your ship? No, that never lower your standards. And I saw remember when we saw even Cheetah fans too saying that, oh, support Tom King's book because he did queer baiting or something like that. It's
Which
like,
he didn't, but I'm like, oh, that was the moment where I was like, are you guys kidding me?
yeah, I have no respect for any fans who basically just morals go out the window for just something that either you've made up in your head or because you think you're getting what you really want.
Yeah, exactly. That's when I'm like, are you guys really doing that? But they defend Gerard Jones if he wrote Superman and Lois. You know who Gerard Jones is?
No.
He got caught having
Oh Lord.
certain images of kids, I believe, on his computer.
CP. Oh my God. That is
Yeah, they would, trust me, they would. I know these people definitely would. Yeah, and Cameron says I was like one panel of Super Wonder kids telling Darkseid how their parents don't understand them, and Darkseid's like, "Will you please leave?" Yeah, exactly. Oh, he says, I just want one panel of that." Okay, I like that. But so that's our tier list of animation. It's like relatively, it's mostly average to good in terms of Superman and Wonder Woman movies and animations. So that's not actually bad. It's just the Chucky baby are the ones that people reference a lot. That's the problem.
exactly. That is the problem. I mean, it's so backwards.
Yeah. Oh God, it is extremely backwards. And NJ, nope, that was retconned out a long time ago. But
Yeah, the last time, of course, it was Christopher Priest, but the last thing that um Slade did was, I believe, slept with his son's fiance, and I'm
I
kind
think
of
he
like,
did do that, but still on that, it's like at the very least, the fiance was like not a kid.
yeah, not a kid, but it's still very messy though. It's kind of like she's not a kid, but
I'm not
she
saying
just
Slade
sounds,
is moral, but I'm saying he's not one of those.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What are the odds Superwonder actually happens in the current movies? So we talked about this earlier, but what I'm kind of like, let me put it this way: in the future, I kind of think it could happen with Corn Sweat pushing for it. I mean, let me put it this way: we'll see, because if well, put it this way, if they do it, they will gain a lot more respect from my side if they do, because it shows they're actually doing something different.
Exactly. And um I would say it's 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Let's say around that.
Only because if you're looking for something to do new and you know it's just based on the marketing alone for this movie, it's kind of like you have to know that Clovis is not a marketable pair. Like it's not.
Mm-hmm.
But if you see Clark and Diana, Superman and Wonder Woman, and honestly, I mean, it just takes a Google search, to look up Superman and Wonder Woman, and you see all the merch that they have. I mean, they even have a line called Lovebirds,
I
of
mean,
that, yes, that is the Lovebird line, is the selfie. You also have just random merch, on t-shirts and everything like that. So it's always been there. And you also have more cosplayers, everything like that. I mean, again, if you want longevity in your media, do something different.
exactly. Now, Britt, so let me ask you this, and by the way, guys, now I think we'll continue with the Q&A, but let me ask you this, Britt: what's your favorite moment from the show?
Oh my
Because
God.
one of my favorite moments was when I kept making special Bond puns a couple of weeks ago.
That one, I would say, hmm, I would definitely say when we were tripping out about Zeus's scroll. When you were tripping out,
Oh God, that's so good. I love that. I love where the comments of that episode was like Zeus's scroll.
I didn't expect that to go like that, and then you constantly, bring it up, and I didn't know it had that much of an impact. So
Or one of my favorites is when we were doing the Halloween episode. We kept finding ways to put Lois in a Halloween movie, but make her like a demon.
Yeah.
That was so good. That was so good. I just love it. I just love it. It's again, I keep saying this. I do love how we have awoken the part of the internet that hates Lois.
Yeah, this, I mean, it's not so much as, well, I guess it is hating the character, but it is because we are now open to talking about the character and the flaws and just the true negative impact the character has had, that people romanticize and want to glorify it as this girl boss thing, but it's not, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing that I really want to again emphasize is to thank you guys for watching, because again, this show is is a big reason why the channel is as big as it is today. It's a bit made it is the reason why I am as big of a Wonder Woman fan, and it's the major reason why Britt's a member of this. So all of that is all good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, you know, yeah, how I feel about DC's current whatever they're doing, it's still this show that's kind of like giving that positiveness of why, yeah, I love the characters.
Yeah, I know you secretly love them, Britt. I know you secretly love them.
Mm,
No, no, come on, come on.
oh no, I got.
I know you secretly love them. You do this show. I know you secretly love them. Come on, you're not escaping from this. You're not escaping from this,
Unfortunately,
lady.
I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm not because I do love the characters.
Ah,
Um,
gotcha.
quiet. Um, but I just don't like how they are written and handled currently, and I
Yeah,
hope for some type of
there's
change.
absolute Wonder Woman. That's kind of a change.
Well, yes, that, but I'm talking about mainline because
Mm-hmm.
although you have absolute, that's basically beating the, you know, um, the dog crap out of the mainline Wonder
Mm-hmm.
Woman, it's still the fact
So much
that
fun.
it is mainline, and what DC pushes for their main line is glossing over the problems, and they are very stubborn to this, where you have this concept that, again, we don't really focus on the romantic part of their relationship, but at least just have them as friends and they can team up, you know, at least you have that the kind of story as Wonder Woman 800 where they read like work spouses, that no, they aren't completely romantically involved, but they just have this deep friendship and they can go over, these type of issues and explore this other part of themselves as characters. You have Batman and Superman, world's finest, but that series honestly is geared towards Batman, Superman, and Robin. Is that is the trinity that Mark Waid is trying to make. But where's Wonder Woman? Wonder Woman was only in that one issue of the Trinity's first mission, supposedly together. But where is Diana's actually important if she is part of the Trinity? So if you're not going to have the Trinity importance, you have Batman and Superman. You know that Superman is in the middle. So why not bring back the title that actually, was popular and
It was
made
a
money?
one of the highest selling books at DC at the time.
Exactly. So why not have that book? And again, you don't have to have them in a romantic relationship. Have it even slow burn, or again, the work spouses type feel vibe. It still goes of exploring their purpose, together.
Mm-hmm. But apparently, I'm seeing a tweet saying that canonically in the comics, Wonder Woman dated Artemis for years, and I go, no,
Where is that?
I'm gonna send you. I'll put it in the Trinity chat. Hang on, I'll put it in the Trinity chat because I'm like, that is not true under I ever. Like, no, that is not true at all.
Where is this? Oh, wait. This is a lie. This is playing on a tweet, a troll tweet, where someone would say, this is canonically or this is in comics, and they will basically tell a lie, and people
Oh,
will actually
okay.
believe it.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. I was a little concerned. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Anyway, but so there's something that I really want to say, and it's not lost on me that we reach 100 episodes the year that I'm celebrating 5 years doing YouTube. It's kind of funny how everything lined up there, but I really want to say thank you to everyone that has watched because, again, it was kind of a risk because I didn't know how much a show like this was needed at the time. I just figured might as well try it. We'll see what happens. But you guys really, really, really showed up in force for this. And the way that this show has been used positively to like explain what these what how important these two characters particularly are to the comic book market ever. And honestly, just to see how much of an impact this show has, it is extremely humbling. It's extremely humbling. And plus, this show also has dramatically helped with the King of Wonder Woman hashtag. And it's further amazing how much that, like, by the way, Super Wonder led to the before anyone says that Super Wonder fans don't care about Wonder Woman, Britt, Jid, and I started the King of Wonder Woman movement. So hello.
Exactly.
So I'm like, you can disagree with the ship, and that's fine. And that's been my position. I mean, I have co-hosts that don't like Superman with Wonder Woman, but if you're respectful about it, it's totally fine. It doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it's not like a priority. But again, I just want to say extremely thank you for also giving me this for keeping the show going, because again, if it weren't for the show, I would not have fallen in love with such an amazing character as Wonder Woman and have had the position where I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna take a stand for this character because she matters. She matters more than DC gives her credit for. She is, in many ways, the most important character in DC. She's the most important character in comics. I will die on that hill. And she is the character that DC really doesn't deserve her. And I will maintain that forever. But that doesn't necessarily mean I won't fight for DC to actually treat her properly. Number one. Number two, this show has also led to the solidification of one of the most important friendships in my entire life, and that's you, Britt. Because let's face it, you and I again, we were chatting in DMs for like a year before. It's like, again,
Right.
Britt and I had never talked before episode 1 of the show. And yes, I had to jack up the volume of my headphones because her headphones were on they were basically in the old folks home headphones. But
Yes. I mean, that's
exactly.
Apple for you. Is like the you can have them for just 6 months and they still just go out on you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And but going through it, it's like it never sees, because Britt knows her stuff. That's partly why I wanted to bring her on as a podcast instead of just like an episode interview. I could have done that and just moved on, but it's still like, it's because Super Wonder always has been like one of the pillars of my channel, and to have a show around it that that has made people feel like they belong, that honestly will be the number one proudest accomplishment that I've ever had with this channel. That's it, is to be able to give people a home where they can come together and talk about these two characters without being judged. And I just got a crying cat gift from Britt, so I really do appreciate that. Yes. And honestly, That's been my thing. You do not have to like Super Wonder. If you're respectful of it, fine. If you just like Wonder Woman, if you just like Superman, that's fine. You are always welcome with Comics League. And even so, Dave says, you guys have educated and made me appreciate the character more. Wonder Woman definitely rose in my character rankings. I really appreciate that, because that's once I became such a Wonder Woman fan, and honestly, it was the Wonder Woman hashtag that really did this, because it's like the reason why we got the Tom King Wonder Woman run is because DC thought that not enough people cared on who we put on Wonder Woman, so we'll just put anyone on there. And I'm sorry, that has to stop. Like, I'm sorry, that is the worst attitude to have, because if you're like, we can put anyone on this character, for a character that you literally call a third member of the Trinity, even though the Trinity itself is like a fake concept just used for marketing. But my point is, if you're going to market her as the third member, as the third most important member, or in the top three most important DC characters, you should care about who's writing her and what they're doing. This doesn't make sense.
Exactly. She is very important, for the female audience, and not only just the female audience, but also for men. I mean, she represents equality. She represents the good side of feminism. Um, and it is some her origin itself, is important, of just life itself, and being celebrating the beauty of life, love, and peace. Um, the warrior aspect, again, we can go back and forth with that. Um, I will always say that the warrior part, it shouldn't be taken literally, because they're all warriors of justice, social justice warriors. They are that. So why is that such a negative term when it was a positive term? Um, and the Amazons being reincarnated women of abuse, and they are given a second chance, and they, can build themselves back up and be stronger than who they are or who they were, and in their past lives and things like that. So is Wonder Woman's story, her, and her lore, means so much when you really have an actual deep dive. I mean, an actual scoop here, in it, within it.
Exactly. And really appreciate that, Lewis. Thank you. And Cameron says, same thing as Dave. You guys made me go back and read these runs with an open mind and call out creators when they do BS. Really appreciate that. And the thing that I'm going to really emphasize is that, again, this channel most of the comic book podcasts I follow either moved on or stopped doing it. So it's nice to see you guys around. And we're not going anywhere. So we're still going to be there. But this is something that I've wanted to say for a while. I'll say this again in October during the 5-year celebration, but I just really want to say it here particularly, is that, so again, the one of the number one points that comments that I get on the show is that I gave people a home and that people felt welcome. I'm just going to say you guys did that for me, because in 2020, everyone was alone and isolated, and I felt that too. And it's like, when I started this podcast, I really just thought it was going to be something that me and a buddy would do, and it wouldn't really go anywhere, particularly when it was sticking at 32 subscribers. And first off, Britt kept me going through that 100% by keep giving me great topics to talk about. So that's the first thing I'm going to say. But the point that I really want to say is that as this channel grew and more people started watching, you guys welcomed me into this community, and I cannot ever repay you for that.
Aww.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. It will never ever be lost on me, and that is why I promise you I will never take any of you for granted ever. Because I see too many YouTube channels take their audiences for granted, and that is just something I refuse to do, because without you guys, I don't have anything on this channel. I really don't. And this channel has been one of the most personally fulfilling experiences of my entire life, like bar none. And I will always, always be there. It's the reason why, because I get asked all the time, Jared, how do you do all this content? Because I'm recording or going live practically every day. And the reason why I do that is because whenever I sit in front of this microphone, granted, yeah, it's like all the problems of the world just go away for an hour or two, and I can just talk about these characters I love. The stutter, nothing matters when I just sit in front of this microphone and talk to you guys, talk to Britt. And I get to forget about everything going on in this screwed up world for just an hour or two, or in Britt, in my case, 5 hours, and just talk about characters that have been something to me, and have been there when I needed them, when I was like really down on myself or like in a dark place. These characters have severely like helped me, and you guys have severely helped me. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
So sweet, Jared.
Yeah. And then Britt says the fans know you know your stuff. Real knows real. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it. Almost no one in comic social media care about Wonder Woman. Well, I do. And that's the thing. That's the other thing. They shouldn't. And here's the thing. So many Wonder Woman fans. Here's the problem with it. They don't care about Wonder Woman. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. They care more about who Wonder Woman sleeps with. That's the problem there. They don't care about the character. They don't care about the character getting good stories. And that is the disgusting part. And if you care more about who Diana sleeps with instead of her getting good stories, then you got problems. And that's part of why I do Wonder Woman Wednesday and Amazon Answers, to show people, no, because I can't count how many times I've seen people say that Wonder Woman does not have as many good stories as Batman and Superman. And that's a lie. Well, I'm not saying they're lying, but I'm saying it's a misconception. Let me clarify that, because there are creators that know Wonder Woman really well that also say that. But I am going to say it is because she has some of the most heartwarming and important stories in DC history, or stories that aren't even labeled Wonder Woman stories, but are Wonder Woman stories, like Legal One. So if you know where to look, she has stories that stand up there with Nightfall, with Superman Birthright, certainly above Death of Superman, but it doesn't take that long to be above that. And it's like, hell, the Superman Wonder Woman book, which was one of the highest selling books, is technically a Wonder Woman book. Hell, Absolute Wonder Woman is one of the top selling books at DC. That tells you alone that the character herself has value. And then Random says, too many people on social media slander or disrespect her character because too many of them go off of like Injustice or the DCAU. And that's the other thing, because I get heat all the time for airing the dirty laundry of the DCAU, because these fans just want to live in their nostalgia and not admit that that something is wrong. Like, they're nostalgic with someone, for something, they are unwilling to accept any criticisms of it. And I will not stand for that. It's like, let me put it this way. I accept that there are valid criticisms of the Snyder movies. Britt's brought a few of them up. A few of the other co-hosts have. And I'm fine with that, because a few of them I'm like, I can either explain or they don't necessarily bother me. But you know what? But it's because we both are approaching this from a mutual love for these characters. That's when I don't care if you like the same things I do. Because if I detect that you're doing, because hell, I brought Robert on as a co-host because, yeah, we may have a disagreement about Lois, but he's doing that. But he believes the things he does because he loves Superman. He always has. I have never doubted that for a moment. And I love Superman too. I love Wonder Woman more, but that's besides the point. Lewis says, one of the things I'm always grateful for is for Dawson introducing you, because even if some things I disagree with you, at least you are honest and welcoming. I really appreciate that, Lewis. I really do. And just says, you guys are the only ones who love and care about Diana. And you know what? If it's just us, fine. It's not gonna stop me from defending Diana. It's not. If I'm the only one standing on that hill, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. First off, I'm shoulder to shoulder with Britt, and trust me, don't ever challenge Britt to a fight. She's scrappy. She is so scrappy. If Flash fans are the ones who disrespect her the most, they kind of try to say that. I'd like to see you guys interview Kelly Thompson. I want to so badly. I would so do that in a moment, and then offline we would beg, please take over the book from Tom King. The DCAU and Injustice have been a disaster for the human race. It's a war crime, honestly, those books. It's a Well, here's the thing. It's like Taladia wants another Injustice game. I don't. And I'm like, okay, but it's fine because I know why he wants an Injustice game, because he likes DC gaming. And you know what? That's fine. That's valid. And you're allowed to. I may not like the universe, but that doesn't mean that other people can't. It's like, hey, I got heat from a few people, not a lot, but a few, because I enjoy Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Like, I enjoy playing the game for what it is. Is it perfect? Hell no. But is it at least enjoyable for me? Yeah, okay. And that's the thing I only care about. If I can take something of value from these stories, from characters, I will say it's not bad at all. And that's my point about this. And then I remember asking a Cheetah shipper if they could explain why shipping them is good. And they literally told me because having her with a man holds her back. Yeah, and I'm like, first off, that's sexist. But second off, having her with a murderous furry advances her character.
Exactly. And the thing is, they want to romanticize or sexualize Diana's redemption of her villains or anyone that she comes across, you know. And again, where did this even come from? Because Cheetah hates Diana. That is not anything romantic of the sorts within their relationship. Even the part of before Barbara was, before she transformed into Cheetah, she still was not this romantic potential or whatever. She was, well, from Rucka's perspective, she was a friend, but still throughout her whole history, she was a friend that was actually manipulating Diana. She was the OG fake friend, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it's enemies to lovers, Brett. Media has popularized that trope. Yeah, I know it's the most overused trope
I honestly
ever.
hate that. I hate that because it's so dysfunctional, it's so toxic. And again, if that person hated you, you know, and
And
they,
tried to murder you or
yeah,
murdered
why would you fall in love
Aphrodite,
with that?
why would you do that? But by the way, Louise says, I prefer reading Injustice fan fictions because if not, even all those fan fictions are better than the official ones. Well, Britt and I are writing one ourselves, so you should enjoy that. And then Dave says, I want another DC fighting game from the same dev, but it doesn't have to be the Injustice universe. Yeah, well, here's the thing. If you have Ed Boon in charge, that's not going to bode well for Wonder Woman. Well, here's the thing. Here's how you know that Injustice sucks. So in the movies, I mean, the first game, they don't make Diana necessarily the villain. Game 2, they make her the villain. And then even in between the comics, it's like she discovers that Superman put the Titans, including Cassie, in the Phantom Zone, and yet she still sides with him.
Because she first has to like be a simp for him, but also with her, you know, being targeted as the main villain is definitely the redemption of Superman being, oh, he's just misguided. He can't, as the man, be the actual villain. That's the same thing they did with Mortal Kombat. That for years the story has always been that Sindel, the queen of the Nether Realm, or whatever, she was possessed by the villain, and now the new timeline or whatever, you know, reboot of this is that she's actually now the villain manipulating who was at first the main villain. And I'm just like, you know what, that is such a coward move, such a sexist move, you know, for you to change her to she's the one who orchestrated all of this is like you ruined her character when, and also even ruined her relationship with her daughter. And I believe in the animated movies that they had of Mortal Kombat, they changed the main female character too to be a little bit antagonistic. And I'm kind of like, you know what? You all have a problem with true strong women being, well, powerful and strong and still good, and it's intimidating. You know, Tomasi, he admitted that Wonder Woman is intimidating. So what do? You turn her into this generic warrior because that's what you think a strong woman is. Well, if a woman, stands up for herself, she's combative or she's aggressive or, things like that.
She's a female dog then.
Yeah. Not that she's justified for who she is. The thing is, with there's a difference with female characters who are actually strong and still positive and still respectful and actually value that equality of men, like Wonder Woman. And then you have Lois, who is propped up as this girl boss, and she actually is this female dog with, honestly, she doesn't earn the respect that she gets. Um, and the fact that she got a Pulitzer just because she interviewed the dude that she basically is having a secret relationship with, so it's not anything truly empowering.
Well, it's like Britt. The other thing is like she's only like promoted because of default. That's it.
Exactly.
That's the interesting part of that. And then NJ says again, it's sad. It's just sad that you guys are the only ones who are hardcore Wonder Woman fans. But you know what? That's fine. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate that, NJ. Yeah. Again, if it's just us, fine. But that's not going to stop us from being vocal about DC needs to stop disrespecting this character constantly.
Exactly.
I'm sorry that's the truth. If you're gonna promote her the way you do, practice what you preach.
Right.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter if she's not necessarily a higher selling character. Obviously, Absolute Wonder Woman proves that that's not true anymore. But ignoring let's pretend Absolute Wonder Woman didn't exist. Okay, she's not that selling. Then why are you promoting her as the third Trinity then?
Right. Why is that? And it really is because of a I honestly, it feels like a contractual thing, or it just feels like, oh, she's the first, female character or she's the most popular female character, so that's it. But and it looks good, marketing wise. But honestly, even as the Trinity, you still have two men, that is still off, and you have this one woman and you're not elevating any other female characters, and now you have Zaslav saying, oh, it's Superman, Wonder Woman, Supergirl, and Batman. Okay, you have two supers. That's not really helping none either with if you're trying to balance the scale. Basically, I would expect maybe Vixen or Zatanna, um Black Canary or something like that to give actual, balance to the board.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's just yeah, exactly. But and by the way, Dave says we need a DC equivalent Marvel Rivals. Oh hell yes, we do. Or add the Squadron Supreme to Marvel Rivals. That's kind of the same thing. I mean,
Well,
if you add Power Princess, I definitely main her the entire time.
right. That is, I mean, Marvel. As you told me, they have their issues, but they still somehow beat DC. That's funny with their own concepts too.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's but then again, it makes it fun. But that's the thing that I want to leave you guys with. As I think we're going to wrap it up now. But the thing I want to leave you guys with is don't ever let anyone like ruin these characters for you, because yeah, you may not enjoy what I'm not just calling you out on this, Britt. Hey, what's up, RJ? I'm not just calling you out. I swear, but it's like because here's the thing. Yes, the current books may not be that good, but guess what? There's the back issue stuff that are filled to the brim with great stuff, like Charles Sewell's book. I always say, even though it's not canon, I mean, it doesn't matter. I just remember when Born happened, I was like, I'm still gonna read the damn book. What difference does it make? Like, you can't come into my shelf and take the books away from me. So I'm still gonna just gonna read it. So it doesn't matter. So it's
Exactly. They
like,
don't just magically disappear. So,
yeah, it's like I don't care if like Jurgens is petty and insecure about his crappy status quo. I just don't. But that's the thing. It's like, don't ever let anyone take away, and particularly toxic fans, take away your passion for these characters. That's what I'm gonna go with that. Oh, by the way, new blood is needed. That's a good point, NJ. I've long said that DC needs to start gatekeeping old creatives and tell them, you contributed. We're not gonna like completely like forget everything you did. You did some good stuff for us, but it's time for new people to write, because you have creators that don't know how to write like for the modern audience. They just don't. Or when they try to, like Tom King, it comes off as hello, fellow kids.
exactly.
That's what it comes off as. It's like, what? But anyway, so Britt, do you have any stories and or final words before we log off for the night?
Okay, so my final word is that, as I mean, Jared basically said it all. Is We're very appreciative to all the support, and yeah, did not expect this show to really gain the traction that it did. Super Wonder is always, fighting the battle of trying to get the respect that it deserves, and with all the detractors, with the revisionist history and stuff like that, and also with Wonder Woman as a character. Yeah, we do care about her, and what she stands for. So we are going to continue to push for that respect that she deserves. But yeah, just want to thank everyone for their support. I also want to thank everyone with the support of the Instagram. You know, as a shipping, fan page, the fact that it still remains the biggest shipping fan page for DC, um, it, that says a lot. It's only a solo shipping page too, that really speaks. Um, and as far as stories, finally, Odyssey Chapter 2, the editing is almost done. So Jared, of course, gets the exclusive, um, probably later tomorrow, Sunday, and then that will be uploaded during the week. I also have a few more one shots, but I'm really working on some Twitter threads. One of them is a Wonder Woman proposal, and it's kind of giving a way of exploring, Wonder Woman's themes, and who's important to her for her supporting cast, and who will elevate the story. Um, and I also have a Tom King thread, and that is basically why fans are against him. Because you have where some fans want to defend, as we talked about earlier, these creators just because they're giving them what they want. You had like Batcat fans defending his Batman run and Batman and Catwoman, but it was very problematic with the fact that you used Diana in Batman 39 and 40, or you had Selena kicking the Flashes, things like that. That was like, okay, that was too much. Or the fact that he turned their relationship very toxic, in Batman and Catwoman's maxi series. And other threads are the Trinity, and of course, explaining that the Trinity is not as deep of a trio as DC tries to convey, because in story it is very superficial. As many they've had three tries of a book, but it just wouldn't stick. So yeah, doing a little bit more of those type. Oh, and we also have ranking Wonder Woman artists. That will be, we already did ranking of Wonder Woman writers, so now we're doing the ranking of Wonder Woman artists as well.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And yes, we're gonna be here for hundreds more. And by the
Right.
way, again, next week's episode is we're gonna be talking all about Superman and Wonder Woman in Flashpoint in the comics versus the animated movie. So, oh boy, be prepared for another rant filled episode. And the thing I'm going to leave you in is that Super Wonder fans have been called the black sheep of the DC fandom, and you know what? We're going to own that. We're going to own that.
Exactly.
We're going to be proud of being black sheep.
Yeah, because we stand out and we go on our own flow of things. We don't follow the herd mindlessly.
Yeah, exactly. So, but DC Comics needs to make a line called Showcase or something like the Absolute line. That's where older creators can do class. That would be something interesting. But you
Right.
see, that's too much of a good idea for DC to do it. Too much of a good idea. And
Exactly.
by NJ brings up the whole. I'm really convinced that the Trinity series is just Tom King's excuse to laugh at DC when she's laughing at Robin.
Oh my God.
Particularly that Robin.
Yeah, that is, oh gosh, the misguidedness. And again, as we said, Wonder Woman has an editor, a female editor, and for this to get past her is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I cannot wait for because it's inevitably going to happen. Because this book is I'm kind of going to make a prediction. I don't think the Trinity book is gonna be in the top 100. I just don't. And I honestly think that I don't think the Wonder Woman issue is gonna be that high up either, because no one talked about it either way. Like we didn't do a well. Exactly. Thank you, Louise. Well, black sheeps are actually a good thing, but anyway. But it's like we intentionally didn't do a trending day because we were like, no one's going to talk about this. We didn't even do it for Trinity. No one talked about them.
Exactly.
That's kind of no one even talked about to say how because there was some stuff in that issue to be pissed off about, but no one talked about it. That's interesting. But anyway, so we're going to leave it there again. Flashpoint, and then we'll talk also on the Flashpoints. It's going to be after Superman comes out. Britt and I will be talking. Okay, we talk about it. Just mock it for the sugar honey iced tea that it is. Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, and Barry, also next week on the show we'll talk about the Superman movie because it'll finally be out, so we can talk about it. But stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs with General Zod or Satan. Either one works. I have no preference there. And Steve Trevor probably belongs Steve Trevor belongs with a hydraulic press. Zois and Max have bat for life. See you later, everyone. Bye-bye. Where's the outro? Okay, here we go.